Guys, the NBA Finals are almost here, and unfortunately, Gio does not have a functioning foot.
Yeah, it's tore 3 ligaments on the lateral side of my ankle playing basketball.
Are you having surgery?
It's likely,
When are you doing
it's like
it?
50-50, and I hope it's not.
So what are you going to do?
So I have to get an MRI to really check if there's both sides of my ankle that's torn. If there's both sides, then I have to get surgery. If not, surgery is still sort of recommended, but it could heal on its own.
Right.
You and Russ are sharing the same hospital room.
Okay.
Well, okay, I guess. But
Yeah, and this is right before High Rocks. I don't know if you guys knew.
What a
that was supposed
scam.
to be.
okay.
What a scam.
I dropped close to $300 on High Rocks, and that's coming up in literally this coming Saturday.
Yeah.
And I just tore 3 ligaments in my ankle, and I can't do it anymore.
Let this be a lesson learned. Don't play basketball right before a race.
You know what you can do with $300? You can buy yourself the newest camera that we have. So you buy 3 of them,
for
actually.
a third of the price. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, at
You
least
guys are rubbing it in my face right now.
you learned a valuable lesson. It's okay. Obviously, give Gio your well wishes down in the comments. Aside from that, it's episode 59. As you can tell by the title and the thumbnail, this is going to be part 1 of our little 2-part series of the winners and losers of the 2025 NBA playoffs. Today is the winners. In about a week or 2, we'll do the losers, debating on what we want to do about the finals, because that's right around the corner. Both of these series could be over by the time this episode comes out.
Exactly.
So we don't know. We'll have to figure that out when the time comes, but it will be here in the next 2 weeks. You guys will see that. We'll probably wind up doing it next week because I know they wait till the first Thursday in June for the finals. So most likely that will happen.
Okay.
But yeah, we have 10. This is our top 10 winners for the 2025 NBA playoffs. We'll talk more about it when the segment comes around. And, you guys will see who we think have rose their stock or proved everyone wrong, or who's basically chilling the most, who's got the best PR and whatnot in these, 2-ish months. Obviously, aside from that, we'll have our first 45 minutes to an hour of news. We have a bunch of series to recap because we did not stream on Monday. We'll be live again either next Monday or whatever day next week to kind of talk through that. So you'll get our recaps of, the first 4 games of both of these series. We're going to talk about Thunderwolves tonight, and then it'll be in the same video, but the next day we'll talk about the Knicks and Pacers because that game's still going on. If you guys do enjoy today's video, be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, get us to 6K by the end of the NBA Finals, which is just about a month from now. So get us there. You're on Spotify audio platforms or wherever you get your podcasts. Give us 5 stars, leave a review, answer the polls. Follow our socials down in the description. Get Gio to 1 million Instagram followers.
Run it up.
And guys, do we have anything else to say? Oh yeah, we forgot Gio. Since we didn't live stream this week, we thought we'd transition to a player. Who is your G of the week?
I thought we'd do this at the end.
No, that's the comment at the end.
You're right. Yeah. So, G of the week.
Is your foot.
It could be,
honestly,
it could be whatever for whatever reason.
Honestly,
It's your foot.
I'm not the biggest fan of this guy, but it is going to be SGA. He's having a fantastic series so far.
Yeah.
Him and J-Dub, surprisingly.
Yeah.
But yeah, they both dropped 30 last night. But SGA, he's my G of the week.
Actually, SGA dropped 40.
He dropped
J-Dub
40.
dropped 35.
Yeah, but 8 of those were garbage time free throws.
I mean, the whole game is just basically free throws for SGA. No, I'm just playing. But look, whether you like SGA or you hate SGA, one thing is for certain: he has aura.
he does.
It's just that's why he's aura man for a reason.
Yeah.
And I will turn into the biggest SGA fan of all time if the Knicks make the finals. My switch up is going to be diabolical.
Yeah.
So, but aside from that, shout out SGA. We'll talk more about him in just a few minutes.
Yeah.
But guys, do we have anything else to say before we dive into the first segment?
Let's dive.
roll.
Unfortunately, Gio, this segment is a little bit negative for you. Obviously, you are a diehard Russell Westbrook stan, a Russ sexual, if you
I
will.
wouldn't say all that.
I mean, look, you called him your glorious king the other day.
I did not say that.
So
Pull up the receipts or else I don't believe it.
it's on one of the raw footages.
Okay.
I'll find it for you.
Okay.
But obviously, we know the Denver Nuggets got bounced to La Cancunville in the second round in 7 games by the OKC Thunder. And Russell Westbrook, if you guys noticed throughout most of this season, if you watched Nuggets games, he had a lot of tape around his right hand. Saw that a lot with KCP the year before. He always kept fiddling around with it. And there was a picture that went viral that Russ had 4 pieces of tape on each finger. And it was really nasty. If I could find a picture of it, I'll put it on the screen. It really just depends on how lazy I am editing. But we saw a personal statement on Russ's blog post, the subscription service thing that he started, where it's like his newsletter and stuff like that.
He has his own news.
Yeah, I was telling you about it the other day.
That's insane.
You got to subscribe to it. I was talking to one of my friends about it. She said it's definitely worth the price.
I might actually start listening to the news now because Russ has his own news.
It's a newsletter, so you just got to
About
read it.
him.
Oh, it's only about him?
Yeah, it's just Russ's own personal. I'll send you the link off
Oh,
camera.
okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So obviously, we'll put the statement on the screen from his blog post. It says, personal update. This morning, I'm undergoing surgery on my right hand to fix 2 breaks that happened during the season. I'm grateful for everyone's support all year, and I can't wait to be back out there at 100% soon. The comeback is already in motion. And of course, he ends it off with his usual hashtag.
Why not?
No, why not? See, that's how you know he's a true Russell Westbrook fan.
Yeah.
That's how you
Anthony,
know.
would you have guessed that?
No, not at all.
But
It says hashtag why not.
Yeah.
Yeah, because why not? You know, that's Russ has always been doubted in his career. So just go out there and just play freely. Why not?
Prove them wrong. That's what he does.
Exactly. And that's why he's the second guard ever to average a triple-double in a season.
There you go.
He won an MVP. He's the first person to win an MVP as a 6. He's one of 2 players to do it. So
Yeah.
You can keep on going. I love hearing the accolades that Russ has acquired.
most notably in 2022, I believe, because he was on the Wizards in 2021, right? In 2022, in back-to-back games against the Orlando Magic, Russell Westbrook took a step-back midi in both games, and it hit the shot clock. Top of the backboard. They actually had to replace the shot clock because there was a giant crack in it from what Russ did.
Are you serious?
No.
Come on. Don't do that.
All right, bro.
It kind of reminded me of, I was in a net space one time last year. One of the guys said, I saw a Patty Mills brick go through my kitchen window. I was freaking crying, bro. It was hilarious. But, you know, obviously, Russ playing through all of that.
Yeah.
And I forgot, one of my friends on Twitter, I forgot who it was, said he broke his shooting hand once. He could even hold a pencil. I could only imagine the way he was playing.
Yeah.
But there's more to the story. Antoine's got more on that. The Nuggets gave out some more information. So what do you got for us? We'll put it on the screen.
Yeah, the Nuggets followed up saying that he had surgery to repair multiple ligament tears. I'm assuming those are the breaks that Russ has talked about in his post.
No. He's talking about his bone. Ligaments is different
So
from bone.
he probably fractured 1 or 2 metacarpals
Yeah.
of some sort.
You guys don't know that's this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And your foot's version's the metatarsal, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And
Pretty good with your anatomy.
Thanks.
they said he's expected to resume full offseason training in the summertime.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you think, I just have a question for you specifically. Do you think this means he's going to opt into his contract with the Nuggets?
I would think so.
I think so. Because, why would you leave Jokic?
Well, I mean, not necessarily that. I feel like Russ played well enough where he can get the full taxpayer MLE from a different team.
He could.
But I think now that you've had the surgery, especially when it's your dominant shooting hand, you're not that great of a shooter to begin with. I feel like you need the security of the contract. Just like, remember when Chris Middleton had the knee, I don't know if he had surgery, but he had the knee problems and he opted in with the Bucks rather than, he could have gotten a contract anywhere, but you just need that security of the money that's on the table already guaranteed.
Right.
And that's where I think he might decide to do the same thing.
I don't think it's that. I think Russ can go anywhere, I feel like.
He's a plug and play guy, yeah.
Right. He can go anywhere, and I feel like any team would be willing to pay him what the Nuggets are paying him and even more because he had a really good season this year.
Yeah.
So I think his reason for staying, if he stays, would be simply because of Jokic.
Yeah.
Why would you want to leave a team that has Jokic? Like, at this point in Russ's career, he needs a really good big to play with. And
Also,
where are you going to find that? That's the Nuggets.
Well, you go first.
It's also like Russ could opt in, but the new GM could want to move him.
Right.
We don't know. Adelman could want him to stay, and that'd be great because then Adelman could work with the GM and say, hey, Russ needs to stay. And the GM would be like, all right, I believe in you. Like, Russ was good when you played, guys played when you took over. Like,
Yeah.
Let's see what happens.
I mean,
Look.
my counterpoint to that would be the Nuggets seem a lot disjointed front office wise. So, like SGA said, he's trying to get you back here.
Yeah.
I feel like there's better situations for Russ to win a championship. Obviously, if OKC wins a championship, they're likely not going to repeat. So it's also probably not the right thing to do. But like if OKC, let's say they lose to Indiana or the Knicks, God, I hope not. But let's say that does happen. It wouldn't hurt to just, give him $10 million a year.
Right.
I think he's earned it.
Yeah, he has.
Especially playing through a broken hand and multiple torn ligaments. Salute to Brody, man.
No, seriously.
That guy is a trooper. He is a warrior, even though he's on the Nuggets. But it's always funny when they call people a warrior.
Yeah,
Because then
Yeah.
Warriors fans would be like, oh,
Yeah, no.
It's like the meme where he's like pointing at the TV.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I mean, comparing to the guys that got Emily, D'Anthony Melton signed a 1-year deal for $11 million. He only played like 10 games, and he tore his ACL, right?
Yeah.
So like Russ played a lot more than D'Anthony Melton did.
Well, D'Anthony Melton had a really good contract here because he's your prototypical 3-and-D wing.
He's a good player.
Where he's a little bit shorter than that, but he's a very good defender, and he can shoot the 3-ball.
Yeah.
But what I was going to tell you earlier, but I wanted to save it for the show. In 2023, in the first round, remember when Tyler Hero broke his hand? And he somehow managed to stay in the game for those 2 possessions, and he almost hit that 3. That was what that reminded me of. That takes guts, man, because that's like painful. I cannot I'll bump my hand on something and I'll be in agony.
Yeah.
I can't imagine breaking the damn thing. Like,
Well,
breaking 2.
Also, like
yeah.
Russ and Denver didn't specify what time in the season it was broken. We don't know if it was right in the beginning.
Yeah, we don't even know.
I mean, you could look back.
You know.
You could look back on the NBA's YouTube channel. Look back at the old highlights and just see his hand. I mean, it's pretty noticeable. The tape's on there.
Yeah.
You could probably look back as far as like January.
Yeah. I just want to bring up this, though, because all we know is that he definitely injured his hand during that. He didn't injure it during the first round series, but he was injured during the first round series.
He hurt his ankle.
And here's his ankle as well. And I wanted to bring up how well he played in that first round series. I don't think the Nuggets win without Russell Westbrook in that series. I don't think they win. He was averaging 19 points a game during that series. He was averaging like 3 steals a game during that series. He was playing out of his mind. Okay, let's not forget that. And with that broken hand, he was shooting 40-something% from 3.
Yeah.
So what is that? Is Russ a better shooter with a broken hand? Is that what this is telling us? Or
honestly, if he is, that's kind of sad. But like, I certainly would hope not. You want him to be good when healthy.
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
I think now's the perfect time for this to happen. We saw De'Aaron Fox get the surgery on his thumb. I think it's been bugging him for years, I think, for a long time. And, hopefully this can shore up a lot of question marks about Russell Westbrook.
Yeah.
With that hand fully healed, maybe he does shoot a consistent 40% from 3. Probably won't.
Maybe not, but maybe.
Honestly, if you can get 35 out of Russell Westbrook, I would be so happy with that.
Listen, all you need is someone to step up and actually be willing to guard him close. And then once that happens, it's game over because he blows past any guy that steps up on him. You know what I mean? So that's all you just, if you're Russell Westbrook, you just have to get people to honor your jump shot. Once they start to honor your jump shot, it's over for the league. Even at this age that he's at, it's over for the league.
No more packed out Staples Center saying, don't shoot.
Exactly.
Don't shoot.
Exactly. So all he has to do is get people to honor his jump shot. Maybe that's what he's going to do.
Hopefully.
He's going to get the surgery. He's going to get the rehab. During the rehab, maybe he'll get some shots up, fix his form maybe a little bit if he needs to, and hopefully, crisp up that jump shot, get it back to where it was when he was a little younger. Yeah. So we'll see what happens.
Right now,
I'm excited.
Right now, his jump shot's looking a little bit like tap water. We need to get that to Sprite. We need to get that to the crispy, fizzy levels of ethical hoops. Because Russ, for like, I wouldn't call him an ethical hooper, but he does get to the line a lot more than the Nuggets roster did.
Yeah.
So when the Nuggets free throw percentages went up, or at least the attempts wise went up, like volume, he was a humongous part of it. Just like when Jimmy went to the Warriors.
Right.
Yeah.
Because Steph Curry and Nikola Jokic, as far as superstars go, they have the worst whistles I've ever seen.
I wouldn't say that. Nikola, he was getting a lot of whistles this postseason. Well, but historically, no.
Historically, no, because now he's getting triple and quadruple. And they literally there was one possession against OKC. They had all 5 guys on him.
Yeah.
Because on the outside, you had a Michael Porter Jr. shooting like 20% from 3. You had Russell Westbrook with a broken hand. You had Peyton Watson, who's just not a good 3-point shooter. And then whoever the 5th guy was, maybe
Chris
he was
Brown or something.
I don't remember who was on the floor at that time, but it could have been Brown. It could have been Gordon.
Yeah.
Well, Gordon's a different story. He's an anomaly. But, the Nuggets don't have that 3-point specialist anymore.
Yeah.
And even guys that could shoot the 3 well, like KCP and Bruce Brown, not on the team anymore. So that's kind of the main problem with the Nuggets. And, we'll see what happens with Russ moving forward. Do you have any early insight prediction? Let's say he doesn't stay in Denver. Where do you think he'll go?
OKC.
What if they win a championship, though? Okay, he's a very 50-50 option right now.
I think that would be so cool if he went back to OKC.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's likely. I think what's more likely is what we've been hearing already, which is the Brooklyn Nets.
Yeah, see it.
I mean,
it's a possibility.
I could see if he wants to start in Dallas, no Kyrie for a whole year.
Maybe. It really depends on what they want to do. Because I'm not too sure.
That would be cool.
Like
Russ and Cooper flag.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of reports. about Russ and CP3. Like CP3 might go to Portland to mentor Scoot.
Oh gosh.
I think Russ could also mentor him if CP3
Oh
doesn't
yeah,
go
because
there.
I hope he doesn't.
Anthony could get moved. We know this already.
Well, not even still. Like Scoot is for the future. I think Russ would be a great mentor to Scoot Henderson.
Russ would be, but I think Russ wants to win.
He does, yeah.
CP kind of like lost hope.
Then why does Russ?
Russ
want to go to,
didn't lose hope.
Then why does Russ want to go to the Nets? I'm a Nets fan saying this. As much as I would love to win, we stink.
You're right.
Exactly.
Does he
So-
want to? I don't think he wants to.
I don't think he wants to.
I think he's gonna stay in Denver. That's
I think
my
so
opinion.
too. I think
Yeah.
he might wind up getting traded at the deadline.
Yeah.
But I think I think opening night you'll see him in Denver, likely on rig night against the Thunder.
Yeah.
Which would kind of suck.
It would.
But is what it is.
Yeah, it would.
But we send our best well wishes out to
do.
Russell Westbrook and his
Yeah.
family and everything of that nature, and hopefully, he bounces back and
Even better.
even better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a chance this is the best we'll see of Russ since 2019.
Yeah. Been
No.
a while.
2021.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, that year
Wizards, Russ.
that year with the Wizards, he was good. Yeah,
He was
Yeah,
insane.
he was.
Average a triple double. I don't know if you remember, but yeah.
he did. Yeah,
Okay.
he wasn't the best player on the team though, but he doesn't need to be.
Debatable.
Then Bradley Beal was like 0.1 from winning the scoring title that year.
Yeah, he almost won the scoring title, but Russ averaged, I think, 12 rebounds, 12 assists, and 22 points.
That's
so,
crazy.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
Yeah.
And it's even cooler now that Russ is a teammate that just averaged 29.7, 10, and 11.
Right.
So pretty
It's
cool.
It's the Russ effect.
It's the Russ effect, I suppose.
Yes.
Into the next segment, let's talk about the Western Conference Finals between the OKC Thunder and the Minnesota Timberwolves. This was a highly anticipated series, Ant versus SGA. Two of the game's rising stars, even though SGA is kind of in his prime. I don't know why they're getting grouped at the same age range. SGA is pushing 30 and Ant's only 23,
Oh, wow.
but kind of crazy. But obviously,
Wait, I'm sorry. Anthony Edwards is 23?
yeah,
That's crazy.
And
I'm sorry.
SGA is
I just
pushing
forgot that.
30.
SGA is like 27, 28.
That's crazy.
Interesting.
Isn't that nuts? Because, yeah, SGA spent most of his early days on the Clippers.
Yeah.
Right,
Clippers,
right.
yeah.
And then he spent the next part of his career on the ass Thunder.
Right.
Before they got
Yes,
better, they drafted
that
Chet
is
and
true.
J-Dub,
Wow.
and the team got good.
That's crazy.
So, yeah, it's SGA's a perceived young guy, even
He
though
is.
he's kind of like middle-aged for NBA.
Yeah.
But obviously, this was a big series going into everything. Game one, we saw, it was somewhat close for most of the time, and then OKC just completely pulled away in the second half. Then game two was the blowout, right, where OKC just dominated the entire game,
Yeah.
and it just wasn't even really a competition. That's where, SGA really kind of cemented himself as, that type of player. And then game three, I don't know what happened, but Minnesota just put the belt to freaking booty. I mean, they were up by like 50 at one point. It just was not close. And, there was actually an interesting stat I saw that I don't know if it was a conference finals. I think it was a conference finals or just a playoff series in general. Teams that win a game by 40 plus have never lost a series. You know why that ticks me off? Because in game two against the Bucks, we were up by 50. And in garbage time, they cut it to 39. And we only won by 39. That's why that stat exists. And I'm heated. But obviously, the Wolves completely win game three by a landslide. And then game four, we just did not see the Wolves completely locked in on the defensive end. Offensively, they were great. But SGA had 40, J-Dub had 35. It was just a really great all-time performance by the OKC Thunder.
Yeah.
And they take game four. The series is now 3-1, likely over. The Thunder have been a team to blow a 3-1 lead. I just don't think it's going to happen this time. So we'll go to Antoine first. Just your general thoughts regarding this series so far.
Well, yeah, I think OKC wraps it up in game 5. They're home,
Yeah.
Why, risk it to go to game 6 or game 7? But like I said, the first 3 games, it was just the blowout in the first 2, or I guess the close one, the blowout, and the Minnesota just hammered down out of nowhere, just kind of saw that coming because they couldn't go down 3-0. So, come out, just, blow them out. Game 4 was a really good one yesterday. SGA, Chet, J-Dub all came to life.
Yeah.
And that's the core 3 they have right now. Those are their 3 guys, their draftees. Well, 1 they traded for, 2 to draft high draft picks. And we'll be getting into it shortly, but Sam Presti, the one that's behind all this, he's looking pretty good right now for what he's doing. All the guys he brought back, Caruso, other JWell, Isaiah Joe. I don't think Aaron Wiggins has been playing that much.
He has.
He has?
Yeah.
Lou Dort, and then Hartenstein. Just all around cohesiveness. I think J-Dub was the most, I guess, worrisome for, I guess, Tyler. And, we were seeing some lackluster play in the early last round and then earlier and later on. But showed up last night. Chet finally showed up. I was waiting for him to finally break out and have a 20-plus game.
Yeah.
And
Finally.
SGA's doing,
Yeah.
Chet needs to score 20-plus every single game. I'm an advocate of that.
Doesn't need to because the Thunder are that good.
He doesn't need to, especially if J-Dub's scoring over 20. He just needs like 10 and 5 minimum.
But if he does, then they probably win.
Chet should average high teens.
He should.
Yeah, 18
that talented.
to 20.
It depends on the matchups. It's hard when there's the double bigs on the other side.
Right.
That's true. Yeah, but
It's easier. It's easier if you're playing the Warriors when their tallest guy's like 6'8".
Yeah,
When you got Randle and Gobert on the other side, it's not the easiest to score on them, especially how good of a rim protector Rudy is.
Yeah.
So it's tough.
And the other side of the ball for Minnesota, it seems like the starting five right now is not all working. Besides maybe like Gobert for what he does, JMac, AE, Randle kind of been really inconsistent this series. We haven't been seeing the JMac 25-plus games at all. Randle shot horribly last night,
Randle was a no-show.
Yeah.
And then AE's hasn't dropped 20-plus, I think, or no? Has he dropped 20-plus, AE? Or
He had didn't he have 30 in game 3?
He had big-time points. He had 30 in Game 3.
Okay,
But
every other game was below 20.
below 20.
Randle's having the AD syndrome of alternate days. In games 1 and 3, he was great. Games 2 and 4, he played like Thanasis. You can't have that in the conference finals, and that's like the big problem regarding it.
Yeah.
Because you're the second option on the team, and I understand you're playing an all-time defense. It's tough to score on them. But
I wonder.
You can't have five. You can't have you have 1 bucket and 5 turnovers.
Yeah.
Like that's egregious,
That's really
man.
bad.
Really bad.
And it makes me wonder if he's hurt.
No, because he played well in game 3.
Yeah, but he only played 28 minutes. This is a playoff
Are you
game.
talking about Randle?
This is Julius Randle.
How many fouls does he have?
Fouls. It doesn't say
PF,
here.
PF is
all
fouls.
stats. Let me look at all stats.
PF is
PF.
Personal.
Personal fouls. He has two fouls. 2 fouls.
I guess
So
he
I'm
was-
wondering if there's something, maybe tweak something.
No.
Could have.
He played 28 minutes. This is the playoffs. This is one of your best players.
Look at the bench. Nas came in for a lot of minutes, and so did
Well, of
Hill and
course.
Dante.
But still, if Julius Randle, he's been carrying this team this entire playoffs, and you're playing him 28 minutes, makes me wonder.
He got benched in game 2 because he was playing so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still.
I had Minnesota just to ride the highway, but in the beginning, I did have OKC. It was either way for me, but I was riding the hot wave for Minnesota just because of the story and what's going on with them.
Yeah. You
But
know what I have a big
OKC
problem with right now?
Go ahead.
I'm looking at the stat sheet. I'm seeing Anthony Edwards. He took 13 shots.
Yeah.
That's a huge issue. And then guess what? Guess how many players took more shots than him? Actually, only 2 players.
On
Guess which ones?
Minnesota?
Yeah, guess which ones?
I was going to say definitely JMac
JMac took 15.
and Randle.
No.
No, Dante.
No.
Nikhil.
Nikhil Alexander.
Yeah.
He had a
He showed
fantastic
up.
game.
He showed up yesterday.
He showed up, and look, he was
Yeah.
right to take every one of those shots.
Yeah.
But Anthony Edwards cannot be the third most shots taken on the team. He should be the number 1 most shots taken on the team, no matter what kind of day he's having.
Even if
He
he's
needs to find his rhythm.
Even if he's getting triple teamed,
I don't care. Shoot the ball, become Michael Jordan. This is who you are, bro.
he's denied all of those claims.
I know that, but I have an issue with that. Because what would Michael Jordan do? Michael Jordan would have take those shots.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Because, listen, Anthony Edwards, he can get to any of his spots no matter what. And he can rise above the defenders and shoot. He just doesn't have that confidence to do that.
Yeah.
That's what he needs. He needs to do that. And guess what? In game 5, he needs to show up and do that. If he has another game where he has below 20 points, the Timberwolves have no chance. They have no chance.
They already have no chance.
No, but no chance.
Yeah.
If he has if Anthony Edwards, even if he drops 30, they still can't do it. I need Anthony Edwards to drop 35-plus points in order for the Timberwolves to have a chance to win. If that's just it. That's point blank, period. He needs to go crazy.
I think he needs more than that.
What does he need?
You need 50 to beat.
You need 50?
To beat the Thunder, you need 50.
No, but look, you have other guys on the team.
Yeah,
No,
let's say Randle drops 20.
Right?
You're going to have SGA and J-Dub combining for 75 at minimum.
No, but think about this. Edwards and Randle combined, they combined for 21 points. And they still only lost by 2 points. Think about that. So all Edwards needs to do is drop 35 points and have those other bench guys do what they normally do.
Yeah.
And they win the game. If Anthony Edwards has 35-plus. That's what I'm going to say.
I don't know, man. It's tough.
I think they are going to win Game 5. I don't know if we're doing predictions yet. Are we doing them?
We'll do that at the end.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, for me, it's tough because games 3 and 4, the Wolves offense was fantastic.
Yeah.
Great. The defense I saw last night at the time of recording was disgusting.
Yeah.
It was straight unacceptable. Unacceptable. You cannot, in the Western Conference, you saw this last year against Dallas, the same stuff was happening.
Yeah.
Like you gotta lock in. Like you're playing for a spot in the NBA Finals. This team's been to what, 1 finals, I think. I think
OKC?
I think KG got them there before with Minnesota. I don't remember.
I don't think so.
Either
Western Conference.
This might be their ceiling. Yeah.
It's their ceiling.
So if this is your ceiling, you got to go 110%. You got to give more effort on the defensive end.
Yeah.
And I feel like, obviously JMac's doing what he can because he's guarding SGA. There's not much you can do because he's either going to get the call or he's going to score on you because he's just that talented. And then really, Randle's defense has not been good. Anthony Edwards' defense has not been good. Mike Conley and Rudy Gobert have been okay for their roles, for their size and their roles. It's been fine. It's mainly your 2 guys on the defensive end. Yeah. It's the same problem the Knicks were having with Brunson and Cat. You need, yes, your 2 guys are going to score at will offensively when they can. You got to go back on defense on the other end because they're just going to hunt you down. And OKC's got shooters everywhere where SGA can get that favorable switch no matter who's guarding him.
Right.
Get that screen and roll right off JMac, and you're being guarded by, you could be guarded by anyone, whether it's Rudy or Mike Conley. And, Mike Conley's not going to stop Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. No. He already got 7 inches on him, pause.
Yeah, no.
So that's been my biggest concern with Minnesota was the defense. Yeah. Because in game 3, we saw an all-time defensive performance. Mm-hmm. But in game 4, we just didn't see any of that.
Yeah.
So, Antoine, I'll ask you this. What does Minnesota need to do specifically to get themselves, at least make this a series? They're not going to win. But what do they have to do to just make this closer and at least force a game 6?
Well, the first thing, we need the offense from the starting 5, mainly JMac, Randle, AE, all cohesively show up for game 5 tomorrow, and they could extend it to game 6, no problem. The bench could just do their bench stuff. They don't need 25 plus from Nikhil or Dante. 10 is even, but we had those 3. We talked about JMac's 30-point games all season long, how he came to life scoring. It's been kind of back to what it was originally for him. Just defensive, trying his best and not really scoring, but we need that scoring. Randle, we'll see what happens tomorrow. And then AE needs to score at least 35 plus tomorrow.
Absolutely.
35 plus.
Yeah.
I want to see that. And then if SJ has an off night shooting, just take advantage of that.
Yeah.
Forget the free throws. Don't foul him. You don't need to. If he's off shooting, let him play.
Bro, it's hard to not foul SGA. Even when you don't foul him, sometimes he still goes to the line.
Yeah.
And that's what's tough about guarding a player like that because you notice it a lot with the Canadians, mainly with SGA and Andrew Nembhard. That forearm strength is ridiculous. They'll just drive in. They barely even extend out. And Cade also kind of does this too, where they'll just extend out and you're just like falling backwards. And there's nothing you can do. And he already has the space. He's tall enough for a guard, or he could just shoot over a chair, just like it's Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the biggest issue when you're playing a team like the Thunder, and even when what I've seen from SGA specifically this series is his playmaking.
Yeah.
He's leapt up his playmaking since the second round against the Nuggets when they started doubling him.
Right.
And, that comes down to other guys hitting shots. And, Gio, I'll ask you this. I'm trying to figure out the best way to ask this. Mm-hmm. For SGA specifically, if it's not J-Dub and it's not Chet, who are you specifically looking for on both ends of the floor to put this series to bed tomorrow?
That's easy. It's Alex.
Or I guess yesterday by the time this video comes out.
Right. I would say that's easy. It's Alex Caruso. He's been that guy. First of all, he has this type of playoff experience, so he's not afraid to be the guy to step up. And we've seen that throughout this entire playoffs. When his number's called, he comes through every single time.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. His level of play, he goes from if this is 2K ratings, he goes from a 75 overall in the regular season to an 88.
Oh yeah.
In the playoffs, it's crazy. His defense goes through the roof. His offense, he's knocking down shots on his 3-point shots, and then even in transition, he's running the floor like he's a Hall of Fame slasher.
Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame slasher. But no, seriously. He's that guy.
Is there some dark magic from this bubble team? Because I feel like we saw this with KCP in 2023. He was the only champion on that roster. Alex Caruso was the only champion on this roster. KCP was a knockdown shooter. Alex Caruso has been shooting the three pretty well, not as well as KCP.
Right.
And they're the go-to point of attack perimeter defenders. KCP on fast breaks just swipes his hand down and gets the steal, or just knocks it out of bounds. Alex Caruso kind of does the same thing, and he can front the 7-footer.
Right. He's so multifaceted.
Also, I want to give props to Kason Wallace.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's another
Definitely.
guy that's just mean, bully, ball, speed. I think he had a couple steals last game and 11 or 12 points. Was that the game before? I don't remember.
I don't remember. I think
Pretty sure that was last
it definitely wasn't game 3.
But he got good minutes. I think. Look how good last night. I think he got good minutes last night.
He had 7 points. He had, let me see, all stats.
It might have been
steals.
game
He had 2 steals. Yeah, 2 steals,
Yeah.
7 points, 1 block. Yeah.
And I think that's what makes OKC so great with the fact that they have all these perimeter defenders. Because, let's say Caruso's not having a good night. You have Dort. Dort's not having a good night. You have Kason Wallace.
Yep.
Kason Wallace isn't having a good night. You still got J-Dub and SGA. I mean,
It's crazy.
You name it.
And they're all super strong.
super strong,
super
tall.
fast.
Pretty much all of them can switch 1 through 5.
It's crazy.
It's ridiculous. It makes absolutely no sense.
Now, I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Try to make this quick because this could be a really long.
Yeah, because then I'll move into my big question.
Really quickly.
Yeah.
Who's the better team? This Thunder team you know where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
In 2025 or OKC in 2012 when they went to the finals with Harden, Russ, Ibaka, and KD. Which team is better?
Let you answer that first, Anthony.
You had 17 with Russ, KD, Ibaka.
2012.
2012 when they went to the finals against Miami and they lost in 5.
Yeah.
They
were young.
Andre Roberson was there?
No.
No?
Cephalosha.
Cephalosha. Center was Perk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Center was Perk.
But you had Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and James Harden.
And Ibaka.
And Ibaka, yeah.
And your bench. I forgot the bench.
Bro, think about it now.
Harden was on the bench.
Thinking about it now, that Raptors.
Harden was on the bench?
Harden was on the bench.
Thinking about it now, that Raptors team in 2019 was stacked. They had Ibaka as the backup 5.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I like that 2012 team a lot.
So who's
'Cause
better?
I reminisce on the good times in basketball in that time.
yeah.
So take nostalgia out of it.
They lost to Miami. That was the LeBron Miami.
LeBron,
First year?
Wade, Bosh. That was the
first
second
year?
That was their second.
that was their first ring. I
First
think.
ring.
First
Second
ring.
year.
Yeah. Because they lost
Say.
to Dallas their first year.
Give me an answer. Let's go.
I would say 2012.
2012 was better?
To me, the answer is quite simple, and it's 1,000% this year's team.
Really?
This team won 68 games. They have the second best net rating of all time. This is one of the best defensive teams of all time. Could you imagine if they went up against that 2012 team?
I don't think so. Bro.
If that team lost to LeBron's Heat in 5 games, they would also lose to this team in 5 games.
I don't think so, bro. I disagree.
It-
Respectfully, I
It's
disagree.
because you're biased because you're a Russ fan and you would never pick against Russ. I
No,
know
but
your
even if
tricks.
I'm not a Russ fan, look, I'm taking Russ out of this. Even if I'm not a Russ fan, who's guarding KD? Come
Look,
on.
we asked that question when they played the Bucks and the Bucks won the series. So that's the thing. Who's guarding Nikola Jokic? The Thunder won the series. Yes.
No, but they got guys to throw at Jokic.
They-
They don't
they
have a
can.
guy to throw at KD.
I think they do.
Who?
You could, bro. Alex Caruso could probably guard Kevin Durant. He could do a decent job.
You can't guard KD, bro. And then never mind Russell Westbrook when he. By the way, he put up 40 points in Game 1 in that finals game where they won.
Yeah.
He was dirty in 2012.
Well, I mean, we'll see.
And then they had James Harden.
Look, we'll have
who
to-
the hell is guarding these guys, bro? You tell me.
Look, I'm telling you, man. Look, as much as I don't like the Thunder, this team is incredible.
Yeah.
They're obscenely good. They're super talented. They run up and down the floor. They have depth for days.
That might be the one thing. That
And was it Billy Donovan coaching back in
Scotty Brooks.
Scotty Brooks. Mark Dagnall will coach circles around him.
No, bro.
Yes, bro.
It's not that good.
Mark Dagnall, in the Denver
Sigh.
in the Denver series, it gave me question marks. This specific series, he proved to me that he can be a championship winning head coach.
That 2012 team had Reggie
Jackson.
Derek
I forgot about Reggie
Fisher,
Jackson.
Nick Collison, Nazir Muhammad. That's a team.
Yeah.
That's
Look,
a team.
That's a team.
Look, it's hard for me to pick against that 2012 team.
Dude.
But if this Thunder team goes on and wins the championship, come on. This Thunder team
yeah.
is stacked.
We'll continue this debate in some other time.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
But do you want me to get into
it.
Big question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Welcome, everyone, to the return of NBA Shower Thoughts. We're having this here midway through the segment. And this is something I kind of last minute added just because it drew up a lot of controversy on social media over the last couple of days and everything like that. In game 1 against the Nuggets, we saw Mark Daigneault have the Thunder foul up 3 multiple times. Happened left, right, and center. So much so that he shot himself in the foot and the Thunder lost the game. They did it last night. The Wolves had a clear chance to come back after SGA missed the free throw in the clutch. They fouled up 3, and it pretty much just destroyed the game for Minnesota. A lot of people have been asking on social media, should we ban fouling up 3? Should this be essentially like a clear path foul where you get the free throw and possession? Stuff like that. So, Antoine, I will go to you about this. Should the NBA ban fouling up 3?
This is good because I did notice this last night as well because they were up by 3, and I'm like, okay, I understand it. You want to stop the 3-pointer to tie the game. You foul them, get the ball back. They'll foul you right away. You go up by 3 again. It's a kind of a cycle of reversing up by 1, down by 3, up by 1, down by 3.
Ban it.
We're used to seeing the teams down foul all the time, you know, obviously. I would say yes because it ruins the last minutes of the game where moments like Tyrese's shot in the first Knicks game go down. Happen on a 3 because they would have fouled. I mean, of course, in the next game, I wanted them to foul, so you prevent that 3. Of course, for your own team, you're going to want that. But if there's a minute left or 30 seconds and you guys are down you're down by 3, we want to see like a nice tying 3 and then just back and forth, nice last minute shot, 10 seconds left. Like, I don't want to see the back and forth foul.
Right.
To go down by 1, to go up by 3, like, because who's to say also, maybe your guys missed the free throws on the other end and you're fouling. And you're only down by 1 or down by 2 now.
That's what happens, right?
You can't trust your free throw guys as much as, you know, the pressure gets to them.
Right.
That's the big thing.
You know what really traumatized me?
What?
Do you remember? I don't know if you remember the first game the Nets Big 3 played together against Cleveland?
Oh, my God. That was a long time
We were
ago.
playing. It was like a really rocky first game. We were up by 3, and we did not foul Colin Sexton, and he hit the game tying 3, and then he went like on a 10-0 run in overtime himself. And from that moment on, I'm like, you got to foul up 3. This is why you do it, because knowing my luck, whenever someone plays the Nets, you get a career high and you shoot at least 50% from 3. So, you know, I totally understand from a business perspective that fouling up 3 is dumb because, you know, you want to see the game-winning threes. You want to see like a step back from the corner and everything like that. You want to see those crazy moments.
Right.
And fouling up 3, it's anticlimactic, right?
Yeah.
Like you're expecting, like if you see a volcano about to erupt, you want to see the big blast.
Right.
And instead it just winds up flowing out the top.
Right.
And just kind of runs down. It's just not what you want to see. So I understand it from the fan perspective. But from the coaching perspective and from the basketball perspective, it's one of the smartest things you can do on a basketball court. Yeah. And that's where you got to have that fine line between it. You got.
So what do you say? What's your final answer? If you're the commissioner, what do you do?
As much as I hate it, you got to keep it in the game. You have to. Because
now here's the thing.
Yeah.
Can I just say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think, look, if you're the NBA commissioner, your job is to make the game as entertaining as possible while also appeasing the players that are playing basketball, right?
Right.
That's your job. And so if that's the question, the question then becomes, how do I, as the NBA commissioner, make the game more fun to watch, period?
Right.
And I say, you ban fouling up 3. I think that's a way to improve moments like what Anthony just said, you know, that Tyrese Haliburton shot or whatever crazy shot you can get.
Yeah.
That's a way to improve those types of moments or have more moments like that to eventually get more people back into watching the NBA. So what do you think about that?
I will say, I have no issue with
I don't think players would have an issue with
the fouling up 3. I think once you get to within either a minute or 45 seconds, that fouling up 3 is no-go.
It just feels like it's not the NBA once that happens.
Right.
You're just
But you know what the problem
using
is?
strategy rather than who's the better player.
But you know what the problem is?
You know what I
though?
mean?
Literally a year ago, or even this season, when someone would hit a game-winning 3, you would see tons of tweets. This is why you foul up 3. This is why you foul up 3.
Yeah, but those are salty people that
right. But the reason why people want fouling up 3 banned is because no one likes the Thunder. and the Thunder have been the ones just spamming it. That's why. The Thunder are the great team with the player that's very polarizing that won MVP, and people are going to feel some type of way when they're doing different strategies to win the game. As much as I don't like it, it's high basketball IQ. You foul up 3 because you don't want to give up a game-winning shot or a game-tying shot.
I understand, but
it doesn't always work. Though.
All other 29 teams can do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's not just a Thunder rule. Like, just maybe Mark Dagnall's a lot smarter than the coaches down when they're up 3 with a minute to go.
They've been the only team in the playoffs that's been in that situation to foul up 3. They've been in that situation several times.
Yeah.
And that's why. If it just was a common thing, then you wouldn't see it as often.
It is a brilliant strategy. If it's my if it's my team doing it, I have no issue because my team is winning. But if I'm a regular casual NBA watcher and I just want to watch the playoffs because my team's out, it annoys you, for sure.
Oh yeah,
I would get annoyed.
Think about it like if
I say let them play.
Think about it like if Trae Young was on the Knicks and he did like one of those things where remember he hooks the guy in the back and gets him trailing behind and he does the flop foul. You hate that, but if Jalen Brunson does it, you obviously love that because it's 2 free points.
Yeah, we don't.
And that's
bother us.
It's one of those things where it's like it's where it's convenient for the fan.
Right.
I think that's where it kind of ties into it, and
well, they need to fix the foul calling as well. That's a whole nother conversation.
That is never going to be fixed.
I think they can do it, but they really have to be intentional about it.
It also annoys me as a Knicks fan when JB gets into the paint and has a clear floater, but sees the defender trailing behind him and tries to lean back for a foul and misses the floater and the foul's not called.
Yeah.
So you give up 2 points just looking for a foul, and you kind of just gave up an empty 2-pointer.
Right.
Yeah, I mean we even saw it last year in Game 3 against the Pacers. 16 seconds on the clock. And he tries to like bring his arms up to try and get the hook around and then fall backwards and try and foul bait a 3. He had 16 seconds to work with.
I can't tell you how many times JB gets past the defender and is almost in the paint and has a floater ready to go and he's looking for the backhand foul and leans back and misses the floater and goes to the line for 2, and when he could just have an easy 2 and go back on defense. The one free throw really worth that much? It doesn't really matter to me.
Sometimes when you need to break sometimes.
In those situations, you take what you can get.
You could, yeah.
And that's why foul baiting is a common thing. Now let me ask you, Gio.
Yeah.
You say ban it, right?
I say ban it.
All right. So what do you reckon that if someone fouls up 3, what should happen? And now we're talking like intentional foul. Like if they're actually like fouled on a shot or something like that, that's one thing because they'll go to the line regardless.
So that's the hard part.
Let's say they intentionally foul you, cross half court, they grab you or they slap the arm.
Right.
The typical intentional foul. What should happen?
I think it's a technical.
He literally asked me. No, but you can answer.
I don't want to hear from you. No, I think it's a technical free throw and possession back. And then you keep doing it, it's another technical foul after that.
I agree with that.
So just like a clear path.
Yeah.
Technical foul, free throw.
Whatever the other terminology is for that type of foul.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
But the only thing is it's going to be hard for referees to deem what is intentional as like a up 3 foul and what is just like you're actually trying to steal the ball.
I mean, just watch. I mean, you saw what happened in
true.
Game 1 against the Nuggets. There's a clear difference.
Yeah.
There is. Some players make it.
Aaron Gordon literally got grabbed as soon as he got the ball.
No, but if you're an NBA, think about it. If you're a player, you can act like you're going for the ball, but you're really trying to foul up 3. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like you can act like you're really trying to go for the ball.
Yeah, there'll be
play
some
good defense.
there's
You know
gonna
what I'm
be some-
saying?
There's some politics.
That's going to be very tough to really. There's a lot of gray area, is what I'm saying, when it comes to motives.
Yeah.
And intentions.
Definitely, it's intentional if it's in the backcourt.
Yeah.
We know that. But once you get past the half court line, if you're not inside the 3-point line, then it's more susceptible to be called.
Yeah.
Because obviously, if you're inside, you're just going to score regardless. But I feel like fouling up 3, it's so tough to. It's going to be tough to ban. I just don't think it's going to happen.
I don't think it's going to happen.
No.
Plus, there's other problems in this league that are way worse than fouling up 3.
Very true.
And at the end of the day, that's water. It's water under the bridge.
And
Just reform what defense is and what offense is. That's part of the issue.
Just market your small market teams.
Just-
Jeez,
yeah,
love
and
God.
and fouling up 3 is not an issue in the regular season because no one really does it.
Oh no, they do. They do it a lot.
They do it.
Yeah, I mean.
That's why when teams hit game tying shots, that's why you foul up 3
Yeah.
to prevent that from happening. We see it in March Madness all the time.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I'm glad you brought that up because I noticed that yesterday, but I didn't really think much of it until, I guess, now.
Yeah. Well, because it really didn't get brought up much because when the Thunder did it the first time, they screwed up and they fumbled that game completely. And, here you were in a situation, you have a team that's a lot better than the other, and a Wolves win would have made this a series. It would have been 2-2 heading back to OKC, and we potentially could have had an all-time great one. And you foul up 3, you destroy all the momentum of Minnesota, and now instead of a pivotal 2-2 Game 5, you now get, maybe one last hurrah for Minnesota, but OKC's probably winning at home. So, it is kind of what it is. But we forgot to do it. Predictions for Game 5, I think
OKC wraps it up.
I think you say they would win.
I think Minnesota wins in a tight one. Anthony Edwards drops 40.
Yeah,
And
I have no issue with that.
Game 6, OKC closes it out.
Yeah, I think OKC's probably going to win by 30 tomorrow. I don't think it's going to be very close.
Okay.
And SGA will be crowned Western Conference Finals MVP.
Yeah.
It would be so insufferable if he wins it all. They're going to say, we got the MVP, the Finals MVP. Jokic
And
literally
the
was
Western
about to do that, and they just decided to give it to Joel Embiid. But you know what? It's okay. But
All right.
What are you going to do?
it is what it is. I can admit SGA is an all-time great player. He'll be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Of course.
Whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
And, we're going to talk about the Knicks Pacers tomorrow, but for you guys, it'll be a half-second transition. So we'll see y'all tomorrow. Alrighty, it's the next day, and boy, do we have a lot to talk about. So obviously, we just talked about the first 4 games of the Western Conference Finals. Now it's time for the Eastern Conference Finals. A lot more at stake, considering we do have a fan and somewhat of a fan of one of the teams, and then an all-time prediction on the line for the other team. So let's recap, since we've yet to talk about this series on the show. Can you believe it? It's so strange because we just didn't stream on Monday. Every Monday night, 6 to 8 or whatever p.m., if you guys want to go check it out. We'll be live once a week, whatever day it is. So the Knicks and the Pacers advance to the conference finals, duking it out right now. Game 1 was an all-time classic of a game. Was really close throughout the first, I would say 2.5 quarters. And then, at the end of the third, start of the fourth, the Knicks exploded offensively, took a massive lead, and they were with 52 seconds left. They were up by, 12? Or either 9 or 12?
It was
16.
It was 16, exactly.
They were up 16.
That was with 2 minutes left.
Yeah.
And then with
2 minutes left, it was 8 or 9.
No.
it was 9 with 52 seconds left.
It was
It was
9.
9 with 52.
Yeah.
With
It was
2
11
minutes
or
to go,
12.
With 2 minutes to go, it was definitely 14 or 16
it was
points.
double digits for sure.
Yeah.
And
I can look right now.
Aaron Nesmith turned into prime Steph Curry.
Yeah.
Hit 5, 6 threes in a row, got them within 1 or 2 points.
Yeah.
And then the Knicks couldn't hit their free throws. Tyrese Haliburton, they're down 2, goes into the paint. Mikal Bridges knocks the ball away. He grabs it back, goes back to the three-point line, throws up a heave, bounces off the back of the rim, goes as high as the shot clock, and drops in.
Dude.
He thought he won the game, but his foot was on the line. I had a traumatic flashback in 2021 when KD's foot was on the line. So the game goes to overtime, and the Pacers completely dominated in all facets of the game in that period. So the Pacers take game 1.
Wait. I'm sorry, really quick. That Nesmith thing, can we
Well, we'll talk about Nesmith.
Okay, we'll talk about. Okay.
Yeah.
Keep going.
So game 2, kind of the same thing. I mean, the Knicks pretty much had the control of the game for the most part throughout the first 3-ish quarters, and the Pacers completely pulled away in the second half. Pascal Siakam had himself an all-time performance.
Yep.
I think he had 39 points. Correct me if I'm wrong, on 15 to 25 from the field or something of that nature.
Game 2, right?
Yes, game 2, he was just phenomenal. That's the Toronto Pascal we saw in the finals in 2019. And the Knicks, again, pulled it back to 1. Or it was 1 or 2 points right at the end. And then Jalen Brunson airballed a 3. Cat was short on a 3. And then that was kind of that. The Pacers hit their free throws. And you know what? You steal both games at the Garden in the craziest of fashions. Then you go back to Indy for game 3. And the Knicks pretty much dominated the second half. After the Pacers went up 20, if there's one thing you don't want to do against the Knicks, it's go up 20 in the first half because you're going to lose the game. That's pretty much set in stone. And the Knicks pulled it away, and I think they won by 6. And then game 4 was last night at the time of recording.
Yep.
Really just textbook game from Tyrese Haliburton. 32 points, 12 rebounds, 15 assists, 0 turnovers. The first player in NBA history to have that stat line in a conference finals game. So
And no turnovers, right?
yeah, just had no turnovers.
Right.
That kind of game. And
Right.
we just did not see the Knicks play like they did previously. seems like they're out of ideas, they're out of gas, they're out of energy, they're out of just any sort of game plan. So that's the gist of the series. Obviously, game five will come out. Game five will be tomorrow when this episode comes out. So next week we'll talk about the conclusion of both series, because whether it goes to 5, 6, or 7, all of these series will be up by the time we record our next episode. So we'll have our final special out by then. So I guess, should we start with the fake Knicks fan?
Yes.
All right. You know what, Anthony, we're going to give you the floor here.
That's me.
Yeah, that's you. You know that.
We're going to give you the floor here. Just talk about, obviously, focus on your Knicks, and then we'll have Gio talk about the Pacers. So just talk about strictly your Knicks here. Just what's your thought process?
Well, it's a lot of frustration, and it's frustration that is, I guess, you've seen coming, because it's frustration from certain players. Cat, Josh Hart. I don't think as much Jalen Brunson, OG, and Anunoby. Maybe OG for being a little lackluster sometimes. Mikhail, I don't know what's going on. And then the bench can't really do anything much, because you only have 2 guys, McBride, and that's really it, with Mitch, who stepped in for Hart the last 2 games. This series is, to me, it shows what this Knicks team really is. And throughout the season, like as watching the Knicks games, there was a lot of dysfunction in certain ways in certain games. That, of course, isn't highlighted because, there's 30 other teams playing at the same time every week. So now playoff time, you see it front and center, and, Josh Hart's weaknesses are exposed on primetime TV like they were kind of in the regular season. OG's kind of lackluster streaks were showcased as well, but sometimes in the regular season he was pretty lackluster at certain times. Mikhail kind of was just always averaging 15, 16 points a game, had some pretty crappy performances. Mitch was not seen until now, which is the playoff time, and a little before.
Well, he was hurt.
Yeah.
Can't really complain too much about
JB
him.
and Cat, I guess the biggest thing I'm frustrated with the fouls. Cat and Brunson, and all of them are in foul trouble fairly early within the first half, and you got to put other guys in that haven't played yet, and it's just a whole kind of just top to bottom, just kind of roller coaster. I'm tired of we haven't been down 10-0 in the first 5 minutes of the game, so I'm happy they fixed that issue. But I'm tired being down 20 going into the second half. I'll tell you that. I'm tired of that, because I love the comebacks. Yes, I understand, but if I'm being honest with you, my barber said something really, really interesting today, because it kind of put it into perspective. The Pistons series, the Knicks won. The Pistons didn't lose. The Knicks won. I feel like that was the series they won. The Pistons didn't really lose. The Knicks just were better. They won. The Pistons just put up their best fight. The Celtics series, the Knicks didn't win that series. The Celtics lost that series. That was the Celtics' loss.
Yeah.
It was the Knicks did not deserve that series in any way, shape, or form. The Celtics fairly lost that series.
Yeah, they were the better team and they lost.
That's what I told you, because remember when they lost Game 4 to go down 3-1? They played so dominant the first 3 games. That was the game to drop. Mm-hmm. And that's what I was trying to get at.
And right now, it's the Pacers are winning the series. The Knicks didn't lose anything. That's just how I go about it. The Knicks didn't lose anything. The Pacers won this series.
They're just better, you're saying.
They're better.
Well, the series is not over.
It's not over, and we have Game 5 tomorrow, which I'm going to watch, of course, and see if they bring it back for Game 6. Mm-hmm. I'm tired of Tibbs ball. I've been tired of Tibbs ball for a long time. I'm tired of watching him go balder every day and still slick back his hair like he has hair to slick back. Yeah. Love you, Tibbs. You were great for 4 years, but 4 years, you should have – that first contract was that was it. That was the, but – I digress, because
Eastern Conference Finals.
The question about that is, was it deserved? Like I said, Celtics lost that second round. It wasn't a Knicks deserved series win at all.
Well, look, the Celtics have the better team,
obviously.
Right?
Yeah.
The Knicks aren't the better team in that series, but the fact that they won that series, you could give credit to Tom Thibodeau for being a good coach in that series, because he didn't have the better players, but still managed to win.
Yeah, because
you could say
look,
that.
In my opinion, with that series, the Knicks did not deserve that series. Joe Mazzulla got out-coached regardless.
Wow.
So that's the thing. And with Tom Thibodeau,
I think Tibbs is better.
With Tom Thibodeau, it's like, I agree he should have been fired after a certain period, maybe last year after the exit. The problem is, it's not Tom Thibodeau's fault that Leon Rose traded 6 first-round picks for Mikal Bridges. It's not Tom Thibodeau's fault that you traded away Randle and DiVincenzo for Karl Anthony Towns. it's not his fault for all of this.
I will also. I'm a strong advocate of once the playoffs ends and free agency comes around, Cat will be traded. I think this stems from the Knicks wanting to get off Randle, of course. Very last minute this season, they got off him right at the very end. Cat, I think, was just a 1-year experiment type of thing. See how it works. Because I don't think Tibbs likes Cat. I don't think he likes playing Cat at all.
Tibbs is a defensive-minded head coach. Cat does not have one defensive bone in his body. Yeah. So of course he's not gonna. And like even I think Tom Thibodeau was on one of the Minnesota staffs with Cat, and they didn't really see eye to eye on things. So it's always going to be a difficult thing to work. I had a theory I was talking to my dad about last night. I think the Knicks screwed up by getting rid of all the assets from Mikal Bridges. It's already a negative asset regardless of how good or bad he plays. Mm-hmm. So I think Cat was your Hail Mary attempt at just one shot at a championship. That way, when you do trade for a star, you have the star player in Cat to attach to Mikal to get a trade done.
Yeah.
Because they both have the salary to get a Giannis.
So that was kind of like to save his butt, basically.
Well, no. I also,
so it's not a bad move.
Well, also, you rebuild Cat's value in a year. He has his best season of his career right now in New York.
So I would argue that maybe Leon Rose did a good job with getting Cat because now not only did he save his butt from the Mikal thing, now he's bringing an Eastern Conference Finals.
But he didn't, though.
To New York City.
He didn't, though. Cat's value was at its highest last year. After Minnesota got to the conference finals, this season, not only has Cat played worse in the playoffs, he's gonna make way more money next year. Cat's on one of the worst contracts in the NBA.
Well, yeah, we know that. But I don't think he's played worse. Cat, if anything, Cat has gotten better this year compared to last year.
I'm talking about
in every statistical category.
No, what I'm talking about, like, he was fantastic in the second round against Denver last year. He wasn't as good against Boston this year. He was bad against Dallas last year. He's playing objectively way worse this year against Indiana. So you're not getting that same production in an easier conference. And that's what I'm struggling to kind of get past. And when you have a $66 million a year, looming in the next couple of years, that's going to be a tough contract to get off of. And Mikal's value is already in the drain, so that's not really going to change much.
I would, if we're going to be at this point, sitting here in a year from now, no, not a year from now, a few months from now when the season starts, if Cat and Mikal are still on this roster, I will genuinely be in utter awe because I feel like the only players that are going to be back are JB, OG, Hart.
Hart's probably
McBride. No, the podcast got to stay together. You can't really break up the pod.
I think they were doing stuff before he got to New York, no? Because at the end of the day, the way Josh Hart played yesterday,
terrible.
He does not deserve to be on that roster. You say screw the podcast. They're not going to keep if you're a championship contender, you're not going to keep a guy just because of a podcast off the court.
That's true, and he does have a friendly contract to move on from a little bit. You could wiggle, that out and just bring back OG, JB, McBride, Mitch is another expendable contract that's easy to move.
Yeah,
it's a lot of moving pieces. Ochoa's a free agent, let him go. Campaign's a free agent, let him go. I don't care. Who else am I forgetting? The rookies from this past year didn't see a lot of time.
Yeah, but they're not important.
Can I just say something?
Yeah.
Because I feel like we're jumping the gun here. The Knicks didn't lose yet, so I don't know why we're talking about the offseason for the Knicks. I mean, can we get back to what the Knicks can actually do to win the series? What do they need to do?
There's nothing.
So you're a fake Knicks fan. I get it. So can I tell you what the Knicks can do to win?
What is there to do?
I'll tell you right now.
Mm-hmm.
Jalen Brunson.
They can win Game 5. Tomorrow.
That's what I'm saying. This is what they need to do here.
But 12 hours after this episode comes out, the off season for the Knicks could be here.
It could be.
That's what we're saying.
But I'm trying to bring the optimism to the Knicks' point of view, and I'm going to say this. Jalen Brunson is not having the best series.
He's having as far as a star goes, he is having the worst series I think I've ever seen.
You put it the best way possible.
Because he's dropping 30, but it's the most I don't want you dropping 35 points and you're a minus 20.
Right. Exactly that.
Did you see how free-flowing the Knicks offense was when he's off the floor? This is why I thought that Jalen Brunson was on the overrated end. Because, yes, he can score at will. He's one of the toughest bucket getters in the league. In a team setting, he kills all momentum. Because it's iso.
I wouldn't say all that. I would say only in this series we've seen that. Because usually when he's on the floor, the Knicks are plus everything. Because he brings them up. He's like an MVP type player. He's definitely not an MVP player.
Remember what I said.
But he's that type of guy.
The conference finals, though, is when this is like I said, this was the first test for the Knicks.
No, we can't say that because in every other playoff series, he's always brought the team up whenever he's on the floor. It's only been in this series when this is not the Jalen Brunson series. Even though he's averaging 30 points, whatever it might be, when he's on the floor, like you were saying, to your point, the offense hasn't been as not as much of a good flow.
It's stagnant.
It's stagnant.
Yeah.
But when he's off the floor and Cat's on the floor with 4 good defenders around him, whether it be Hart, OG, McCall, and whoever else,
Mitchell Robinson.
Him. If they have that lineup out there, they're a plus. Or you could even put in, what's his name? McBride.
Yeah.
Even put him, he's having a great series.
He is.
When he's on the court, the Knicks go on runs.
Yep.
So this is what I'm saying. I think Tom Thibodeau, if he wants to keep his job, this is what he has to do. He has to experiment. He can't have JB come in there and try to save the day because it's not working.
Yeah.
You have to experiment with different lineups, and he has to do that if he wants to win the series and if he wants to keep his job. That's what he must do. So that's what I'm saying. Like, don't be so pessimistic about your Knicks team, bro. They still can have a chance to win the series.
Listen,
we've seen teams come back down from 3-1. It's possible.
That's fine. I would be all for that. But what bench are you experimenting with?
That's a good question.
He's like, this is where I want to kind of transition the talk to Indiana, because shout out Rick Carlisle. Mm-hmm. Thomas Bryant in game 2, was terrible.
Oh.
Yeah.
It was one of the worst 5-minute stretches I think I've seen in a very long time.
He's going to get into Tony Bradley.
He can't move his feet.
Tom Thibodeau would have either put him back in or he would have just stuck with Myles Turner. He puts in Tony Bradley of all people. Tony Bradley kept Mitchell Robinson off the glass for 8 minutes and was a +6.
Yeah.
Tony Bradley's been a punch off the bench without even scoring.
Mm-hmm.
And he is their least paid player on their roster.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
As of now.
He had the balls to transition to a guy like that.
Right.
Ben Shepherd.
The coach.
When Ben Shepherd came in garbage time in game 1, we thought was garbage time. Everyone thought the game was over. And I think he's played 14 minutes in the fourth quarter in the 3 games they won. He's +28.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really credit that to Ben Shepherd, though, because he doesn't really do anything.
No,
he's out there when they're going on runs.
In that final 3 minutes of game 1, he was the primary defender on Jalen Brunson. He had 3 assists, I think, in that quarter to 2 of the Nesmith threes and like something else earlier in the game. And I don't think he played the overtime, but he played the closing minutes in games 1 and 2, and he played the first half of the first quarter in game 4.
Right.
So that's something Tom Thibodeau doesn't do. You know, he finally did dip into a little bit of the bench. Like he put Shamet in for a bit. Mm-hmm. He put in DeLon Wright, but that's because he had no other choice because Brunson and Cat had 5 fouls each in the fourth quarter. So that's a big issue.
DeLon Wright double dribbled yesterday.
I saw that.
Mm-hmm.
That was a tough.
He forgot how to dribble.
He had a
what
really
are we
good steal.
doing?
He had a really good steal, and then he thought he was going to have an open pass, and it wasn't there.
It
happens. Yeah.
But
listen,
let's transition. Gio, talk about the Pacers.
Yeah, this is hard.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that hard because I don't have nothing against the Pacers. It's just that
you wanted the Knicks to win.
I did want the Knicks to win because I am, compared to Anthony, I'm a real Knicks fan compared to Anthony. So I mean, the Pacers, man, your prophecy seems to be coming true. Because what was it, like 3 months ago when you said that the Pacers are going to go to the NBA Finals?
So 3 months ago, I said they were going to win the finals.
Win the finals.
Back in the summer, I had them winning. I had them going to the finals.
Right. Yeah, so that's insane that you predicted that, first of all, because at the time they were below 500, out for the count, and you said they were going to come back and win. We were like, yeah, no way. We completely writ you off, and here we are today talking about the Pacers in the Eastern Conference Finals with a 3-1 lead.
Yeah.
Okay? So all credit to you, and then more importantly to the Pacers for doing what they did. Yeah. Most of that credit for the Pacers, that's going to go to Tyrese Haliburton, who I chose as my most overrated NBA player, and he's now proven me wrong. So credit to him, credit to Nesmith, who was becoming an all-star before my eyes.
Oh my God, relax.
Maybe not an all-star.
He's not an all-star.
That's a little excessive.
Relax.
It's a little hyperbole there.
Myles Turner could be a better shout.
Forgive me for my hyperbole.
Myles Turner could be a better shout.
Not this series. He's doing all right.
If there's a stat from StatMuse, if the playoffs had ended today, Aaron Nesmith would have the highest 3-point percentage ever by a player with 40+ threes made in a postseason. He's shooting 52%.
And here's the crazy part: he's not even a 3-point shooter.
Him and Nembhard are straight bricks in the regular season. It's crazy.
This man, he might be a playoff riser. This might be what he is.
Yeah, and I think what I love most about Aaron Nesmith specifically, he might be the best shooter that's jacked. We see these super athletic guys that just can't shoot, like the Thompson Twins.
Yeah.
They can't shoot to save their lives.
Yeah.
Aaron Nesmith is changing that narrative.
Yeah. I don't know how he did it. Like I want to speak to his trainer. What did he do to get jacked and then also keep his shot? That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, big credit to him. He's also his defense on Jalen Brunson. This is why it's not the Jalen Brunson series, because in crunch time, Aaron Nesmith is doing a fantastic job on Jalen Brunson when it matters most. Yeah. He's fighting over screens. I heard Stan Van Gundy, he was calling it out the whole entire game. He was saying he's getting over the screens. He's proving to those people who always switch on screens, he's proving to you can get over that screen and still stick to the all-star player like Jalen Brunson. Right. So he's doing that, and so honestly, it's really those two guys for me that's carrying the Pacers. If it wasn't for them,
are we forgetting about Pascal Siakam and Myles Turner?
But look, Pascal, of course, Myles Turner, of course.
They don't run any plays for Pascal Siakam.
Okay, talk about Pascal.
Pascal Siakam. They asked him last night after the game, and he said, "Yeah, I would like to have plays run for me, but that's not about who we are." This guy understands the assignment. This is why he's here. In the Eastern Conference Finals, averaging 26 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 61% true shooting. The best scorer in a conference finals in Pacers franchise history. And this is a guy they don't run a single set for. Every basket he gets, he's either sitting in the corner and he gets the open three, or he's just creating his own shot. Something that any team it's like to die for. Like for your second option to be that kind of player. Especially when your first option is a pass-first point guard. Well, we'll talk about Tyrese Haliburton in a minute. I have a few things to talk about with him. And then Myles Turner. Like I said, all throughout this season, I thought this dude was the biggest fraud on planet Earth when he was in trade rumors with the Nets, and he has completely proved me wrong. I mean, he has transcended into arguably, at the very least, like a top 7 center in the NBA right now.
Yeah.
I mean, you can make the argument that he's in the top 5 if he goes on and wins a championship.
I don't know if I would do that. Maybe. We'll see.
It's tough because, obviously Jokic is definitely there. It's hard to put Embiid in there right now because he just doesn't play.
We'll just keep him out of it.
We'll keep him out of it. So you got Jokic. Wemby has to be there. And then who else would you realistically put in that category?
Centers, man. I don't know.
There's just not, centers is just a weird position because
it's hard to come by.
There's guys Chet, when he plays the 5, can be in that conversation.
Right.
And, that's a good... Towns could be in that conversation as well. You could even throw in a guy like Bam Adebayo when he's playing well and stuff like that. But, Myles Turner is in that top 5 conversation for that position.
You're right.
And it's just crazy the way this team functions, the depth they have off the bench. Pacers fans will tell you their bench isn't that good. And I can somewhat see it in certain games, but, the fact that you're able to rely on an Obi Toppin, who's been hitting clutch time shots all series, TJ McConnell is a totally different type of player to Haliburton, so it's not like the Knicks can adjust to a similar player when Hallie's off the floor. And then you got guys like Ben Shepherd, Tony Bradley, and that makes this team just all that more lethal kind of going forward. And that's why I was so high on them from the start.
Yeah.
Because, obviously injuries happen in the postseason, but when you have a bench, most players get hurt because they're playing 50 minutes a night in these games when they go to overtime and stuff like that. That's why the Pacers and the Thunder and the Wolves made it this far. And that's why he said the Celtics should have made it to the conference finals, but they obviously they fell back into old habits. They had the depth and then Tatum goes down. The 4 teams with depth should have made the conference finals. Right. The Knicks were the only team that didn't have that. They were just healthy. And that was the big change. So credit to them. And we'll put a tweet on the screen right now from Evan Sideri. And actually, you know what? We're not going to do that because this will tie into something later on in the show. I totally forgot. So we're just going to transition into our Haliburton stuff. Remember, I told you yesterday before we started filming, there's a reason why Haliburton wasn't playing well at the start of the season. Hence why a lot of people are so reluctant to call him a superstar and stuff like that. So obviously, we all remember last year in the conference finals, he gets hurt against the Celtics. He had that hamstring injury. He was still injured in the summer. That's why he didn't play very much for Team USA. And, you know, he did get somewhat affected mentally by all the trolling and everything like that from him not playing and like, oh, it should have gone to a player like Brunson or it should have gone to a player like whoever. And, you know, he just decided to just play along, embrace the meme when he posted when you don't do anything on the group project and get an A. So that essentially happened. And because he was injured, he didn't get really a full off season. He starts off the season like absolute crap. And we all knew this. We all saw it. He dropped a donut in his second game. And a lot of the haters and the skeptics, it started getting to him. So he spent months with the Pacers psychologist and the mental health team to kind of get himself right and fix himself mentally. And once that started happening, he started kind of feeling comfortable with who he is as a player and his game. And that's when you saw when the year turned, he started turning on the Jets and playing the way he has. And to me, that's been the biggest thing with Tyrese Haliburton because people just don't understand what athletes go through. And obviously he kept that thing silent until now. And you look now in the conference finals, he's averaging 11 assists a game on 1.5 turnovers a game.
Yeah. That's
like
insane.
There was a stat also, it says, if you were going at it from all his assists, in an NFL perspective, he's thrown 77 passes for 440 yards last night without a single pick.
Yo, what is it? Who did this, man?
I don't know.
Who did this little crossover between sports here?
Someone called him a check down merchant. That's hilarious. But yeah, man, it's crazy just the way he's been playing. And also before the playoffs, he reached out to Sue Bird for advice on, you know, what it means to to be a scorer and a facilitator in those situations. We know Sue Bird's one of the greatest WNBA players of all time. And, you know, it's good that you get you get to pick the brain of those kind of players. And Tyrese Haliburton this season also became the fastest player since Magic Johnson to reach 500 points, 150 rebounds, 250 assists in their playoff career. And keep in mind, this is his second ever postseason. And last year he made it to the conference finals. So what we're seeing from Tyrese Haliburton is unprecedented. It's impressive. And after everything he's been through, whether it's personally, family-wise, whatever, he deserves this.
Yeah.
So I'll open up the floor to y'all.
Yeah.
Just your thoughts on, has anything changed with you guys regarding Tyrese Haliburton? Because I know you guys were heavy skeptics of him for a long time.
Yeah. Well, I would say, I mean, he's not I'll say really quickly, I'll let you take the wheel, but I heard you say he's superstar. He's still not a superstar to me. He's a star for sure.
Yeah.
Never doubted that about him. And he's proving me wrong more and more. I used to say he was an overrated star. Now I'm saying, you know what? He's an accurately rated star. And we're seeing that this playoffs. So what do you think, Anthony?
I'm not impressed by any of it.
There it is.
He's back, folks.
He's back.
No, I mean, as a realist, like, you know, he turns up in the playoff time when it matters most, but I need to see more regular season. Like next year, if it's back to what this playoffs like stats are, okay, I may turn a corner, but still not superstar to me yet. I think Spicy P is more of a star than Hallie is, just because of the history he has. I would say Hallie's a rising star, like an AE type.
He was a rising star last year.
I think he's a young superstar.
Yeah, it's a young star, like we always talk about.
But the way he's playing, it's at the end of this season, I think he is a superstar. It's like it's hard for me to like people are calling Anthony Edwards a superstar, and he's about to get another conference finals loss. If Hallie gets to the finals and potentially wins it against a 68-win Thunder team, like how do you not call him a superstar? I guarantee you, if Haliburton's jersey said New York across his chest, he would be touted as the best player in the world.
You know what? I don't know about all that, but he would be touted as a superstar if he had New York on his jersey. I agree with that. I agree with that.
Because he plays in Indiana, no one cares, and that's the worst thing. And that's why I'm glad we're seeing the rise of small markets. We're potentially going to get an all small market finals. OKC.
The good thing about Hallie being in Indiana is Pat McAfee is a big media personality and will always hype him up because he's an Indiana fan.
Also, out
of all the small markets, Indiana is like basketball. Like that is the basketball state, the basketball city, that kind of market.
Yeah.
What you were saying?
No, I was going to say really quickly, a less serious point about Tyrese Haliburton is his voice, bro. It bothers me.
He has double voice.
I don't like it. I think he's faking.
He's not.
I really genuinely think he's faking.
No, it is a medical condition. I don't know what it's called,
What is it?
but it's like having two voices. Let me look it up right now.
Women
What the
really is two
heck,
voices.
bro? You never heard his two voices? Like one really deep voice, one super high pitched voice. It's the weirdest thing ever, and it changes mid sentence. I'm like, there's no way that's real.
Yeah. He has vocal shifts.
Yeah, but that's not a medical thing.
It can be, I think.
Nah.
It's not. I don't think why would you fake
Faking.
that?
He's mad weird.
You're just
He's
jealous.
He is.
You're just salty.
How am I jealous
You're just
of his
salty that your
voice?
Knicks are down 3-1. So you
I'm not even a Knicks fan. I'm not even like I don't care that much. I'm rooting for the Knicks.
I
It's the home
wanted
team.
them to lose, so I'm happy.
This guy's fake.
Hey, this guy's crazy.
Yeah.
But
What are your predictions, G? Let's get to the predicts.
For oh yeah, good idea.
the rest of the series,
Predictions.
I already know what he's gonna say.
I got Knicks coming back to win in 7.
Yeah, I knew that's what he was gonna
Predicting
say.
it. I'm predicting it. That's why I'm holding
Congratulations,
optimistic.
Pacers, on advancing to the NBA Finals. Let's go. I'm actually really glad you said that.
Yeah, because now it's actually gonna happen.
Everything you say, the opposite happens.
Well, we could be here
So-
next week talking about Game 7 on Tuesday night.
Yeah. So
Good.
is that
We'll
is that
see.
is that just you being delusional, or is
Yeah,
that
that's
what
me
you
being
genuinely
delusional.
think?
It's because whatever team I'm rooting for, what I genuinely think is Pacers OKC final.
But the Pacers in what though?
Pacers in 7.
Oh, so you think the Knicks are actually going to force a Game 7?
do.
Okay.
But I think Pacers will win.
Okay.
My hope is that the Knicks will win. 'Cause
Yeah,
that's the home
obviously.
team, But anyways,
What about you, Ant?
who's eating?
He's
You
deep
want
in
to go
them.
first?
Yeah, I'll go. So, Game 5, I honestly don't know.
Did you guys call on me?
Yo, this guy.
Yeah. Based on the track record of the Pacers, they are 6-0 in games 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
They're 0-3 in game 3s, and they're now 5-0 in games 4 and 5.
Okay.
So, based on the way Indy's playing, the Pacers should win tomorrow. I don't know if they will. That's the problem. I have a feeling the Knicks might pull one out, but
in
then
the Garden,
again,
right?
It's in the Garden. The Knicks are 3-5 at home in the playoffs. Cat is questionable, and even if he plays, he's heavily hampered.
Right.
I want to say Pacers in 5, but just to be super duper safe, I think it will go to 6, and I think Indy blows them out at home and advance to the NBA Finals. Thus
So Pacers in 6,
Thus making my prediction absolutely correct.
Not absolutely yet, because you did say they would win the finals.
Well, no, my summer prediction of
Summer
them
prediction?
making the finals.
Against
I had
Nuggets,
them against
right?
the Nuggets, yeah.
Okay.
But the
What
fact
a-
that I had the Pacers making the finals
That's
is crazy,
insane.
yeah.
But if they win, bro, like, come on.
Our show could take off, bro.
What a boring NBA season. We got to watch the Pacers in the finals. It's so boring.
No, I'm actually not against it. I like watching the Pacers play.
People on social media, like, if you genuinely are going to be bored by the best offense and the best defense
Right.
going at it against each other,
Right.
you just don't like basketball.
That's a fun matchup.
That's a fun matchup.
And they're kind of the same. They're both like lanky, tall, and strong and fast.
Yeah.
Both of those teams in their own way. So it's an interesting matchup.
Going to be great matchups.
Yeah.
All right, so
What?
what's your prediction? What happens?
It'll be the Knicks. No. It'll be the Pacers in 6. That's how it's going to go down.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. I think Brunson could get you one tomorrow. It would not shock me if the Pacers win tomorrow. But, I feel
Who are the rest for tomorrow?
we don't know. Every day at 9 a.m. it updates.
So if it's Zach Zarber or Scott,
If Zach Zarb is reffing, it's 100% going to 6. That is
and then
for sure.
and then Scott Foster.
Let me see who's reffing tonight, because whoever's reffing tonight will not be reffing tomorrow. So tonight it is James Capers, Mark Davis, Ben Taylor, and Ed Malloy. So
Malloy.
I love Ed Malloy.
we are heavily likely for a Scott Foster or Zach Zarba tomorrow. So
I think Scott Foster.
I don't know, because he just did game
Yeah,
3.
he just did game 3. Yeah.
So I'm not sure if they're going to do
Game
it
3
again.
for who?
The
Knicks.
Knicks Pacers. Zach Zarba did game 1, so it wouldn't surprise me. if
gonna
he
be
did
Zach.
tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, it could be Zach.
And I guess if Minnesota wins tonight, Scott Foster will do game 6 in mini.
Yeah,
So
fair.
yeah, there you go. That is pretty much the gist of the Eastern Conference Finals. Let us know down in the comments who you got winning this series and how many games. Will the Knicks come back? Will the Pacers close it out? And guys, do we have anything else to say before we dive in to the main part of the show?
Yeah, let's roll.
Alrighty, into the main segment. So as you guys can tell by the title and the thumbnail, we're going to be revealing our top 10 winners of the 2025 NBA playoffs. So this is not as simple as it sounds. It's not just whoever wins the finals. It's, could be a player, it could be a coach, could be really anything. Someone or something or some group of people that have basically rose their stock, proved people wrong, came out of this with their heads held high. That's essentially what it is. So we each have 3 that we're going to go through, and then we all decided on one concise winner, the biggest winner of the 2025 playoffs, which we'll reveal at the end of the show. So, yeah, we'll just take it in turns. We'll talk about it for a few minutes, deliberate, stuff like that, and then we'll move on to the next one. So, boys, do you have anything, any questions or anything before we kind of dive right in?
Let's go.
Let's go.
All right, let us know down in the comments. Who do you think the biggest winner of the 2025 playoffs has been? And Antoine, you're up first. Take it away. Who is your first winner? This is in no order, by the way, guys. We're just kind of going through this. It's just the end is the number one.
Yeah, so I'm going to start off with a head coach. We're going to go to Denver. And the new head coach for the foreseeable future, David Adelman, promoted to full-time head coach as of this past week or late last week.
Yeah.
I think it was late last week. So he's taken over the helm with Denver without a GM as of now. So they crossed off the head coach first, which is a little weird. Usually it's the other way around, GM then head coach. But when you have a nice playoff run with the head coach that's thrown into the fire literally 2 weeks before the regular season ends, and you get to Game 7, right?
Yeah.
Game 7 with the best defense in the league. And right now, Minnesota's looking like they're going to get gentlemen sweeps, and they took them to 7 games in the second round. And very good showing from a lot of their players. The starting 5, Jokic, Gordon, Murray, Brown. I mean, MPJ, I guess we'll throw him in there.
No.
Okay.
He was hurt.
Throwing Russell Westbrook, though.
Peyton Watson, Jalen Pickett,
How do you
Russell
say-
Westbrook.
He said Jalen Pickett before Russell
Jalen
Westbrook.
Pickett, yes.
I'm
Jalen
sorry, keep
Pickett.
going. bro.
That's W trolls.
Diabolical.
W trolls.
But I'm excited for Adelman. I think he deserved it for where he got. If they got eliminated in the first round, I would say maybe turn a different direction. But I think he exceeded a lot farther than I guess the players thought, fans thought, the ownership thought, and he's now locked in for them. And we'll see what the offseason looks for them and what major moves, because we know they're going to be retooling a lot of the roster. So we'll see what happens going into Adelman's first full year as head coach with a new GM who we still have yet to figure out who it is as of now. And, move forward.
I have a question, though, because it seems like David Adelman, he was kind of thrown into the fire, but at the same time, he kind of has a player coach on the team. It seemed like parts in those playoffs, David Adelman kind of took a sidestep and allowed Jokic to kind of coach, quote unquote, coach the team. And even Russell Westbrook, we saw kind of like coaching the team, sitting in the coach's chair during timeouts and stuff like that. So what do you think about that? Like in terms of leadership, do the players have enough respect to him to listen to him?
Well, of course.
To kind of like submit to his authority as the coach. What do you think?
Well, he was the lead assistant for a little bit, and I think he was definitely the first man behind Malone for anything that he needed. Similar to at least Isalo right now in Memphis, who took the head coach job over Taylor Jenkins after the season ended as well. Mm-hmm. So the high assistants have a lot of I guess good praise from the players, and the players always want their assistants to get head coaching jobs that are like doing their job and know the team. Adelman being one, I'm sure Isalo's another one. Doug Christie, same thing. Him in Sacramento.
Mm-hmm. I would argue.
So
I would argue though that player or coaches that kind of feel like brothers to the teammates aren't the best.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying?
I think
like where you feel too close in terms of a friendship or brotherhood with a coach, it doesn't end up working out in terms of success.
I just think what we saw in this playoff run was Denver's just Hail Mary, just do whatever. Yeah. Whatever happens. Like, they're not really going to care what the result is. If you win a championship, great. If you get bounced in the first round, oh well. Right. They needed some sort of switch to kind of, change the momentum of this team. And I don't think really David Adelman he needs a full off season to develop a clear plan. And he had his press conference today. It was very insightful. There were some takeaways. Obviously, he's confident with the way this team can look and will look. It all really just comes down to what do you do with the big contracts. Yeah. He definitely wants a larger rotation because, depth is – that didn't sound good. Depth is super important, and obviously Nikola Jokic said it in his press conference after Game 7. That's why you see Indiana, OKC, Minnesota all making deep runs because they have good benches. Yep. And obviously he just wants the guys in better shape, and that's something that Denver has a notorious problem of, Jamal Murray mainly, not being able to stay completely fit and everything like that. And, I think he's going to do a fine job. And when Nikola Jokic is your best player, he's going to make you look good.
Yeah.
So it was a pretty insight. I watched like the first half of it. It wasn't bad.
Okay.
So,
It is unfortunate though, because the Suns today, I think for the first time I saw a tweet, they're heading into their finalists for head coaches, and Michael Malone is not even in that cut. So looks like
Good.
Malone's going to be.
I don't want him to be on the Suns.
Malone's going to be probably sitting out a year.
no,
We'll see.
Malone's likely going to be the Knicks head coach next season,
Oh,
which I feel
Would you like that?
Yeah,
I
of
feel
course.
I feel really bad because
course.
that kind of roster is not his best skill set, and
Well,
he's going to struggle.
You have to
gonna be tough.
retool.
It's going to be very tough.
You have to retool.
So I think the Knicks are probably going to walk. I mean, who's your head assistant right now? It's probably not even worth mentioning, but
It was Johnny Bryan, but he's in Cleveland.
right. So my
Brunson's
guess is
dad.
you either that would be terrible. My guess
Who's
is
that?
Brunson's dad was a coach.
Who?
he's one of the
Oh,
assistants.
Brunson's that. No, f him. He's not going to be coach.
Damn.
Sorry.
My guess is either you wind up with Jenkins or Michael Malone.
I want Malone.
You talking about the
I don't
Knicks?
I don't
Yeah.
want Jenkins.
Okay. Well,
But-
back to Adelman though.
Yeah, because David Adelman's a coach that I wanted him in Brooklyn for years.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So you think he's legit?
Oh, I think he's super legit. I think Jordy Fernandez is better.
Jordy
Right.
Fernandez is better.
But I thought he was going to be the heir to Mike Brown. That's
Okay.
why I didn't really look much into him. And my goodness, I mean, David Adelman's after everything we saw, like Jokic, Gordon, and David Adelman deserve so much respect for taking this OKC team to 7.
Yeah.
They were just a few mistakes away from beating them.
Man,
And then,
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
that
but
close.
you could,
bro.
it goes both ways. They were 2 Aaron Gordon threes away from getting swept. So it
You were a
happens.
broken hand away from winning, man.
Yeah, definitely.
No, I'm dead serious.
Okay,
I'm
yeah,
playing.
I wouldn't go that far. They got dog walked in Game 7. It wouldn't have been a factor, but I think David Adelman taking that OKC team to 7, and I think seeing the Thunder just dismantle the Wolves like this was all the information they needed to just, I think he's the guy for the job for now.
Okay.
And Josh Kroenke said it himself in the press conference. They don't need some drastic cultural shift.
Yeah.
So I think they're fine where they are.
So what do you think about his future, really quickly? What do you think? How long? Like, is he a coach for the
Gio,
future? Is how good is the season? gonna
That's
be
a
next
too
season?
early of a question. The roster's
think
not.
so.
No, the roster's not built down. There's no GM. We'll ask that in the beginning of the season.
I don't
Yeah.
think so. I think you can answer that.
It's tough.
No.
I think
That's
when,
the beginning of the
Do you
question.
think he has a future in coaching? Is what I'm.
Oh
asking.
yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's fine.
Okay.
He'll be okay. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, do we have any final thoughts regarding David Adam before we get into the next one?
No, let's roll.
Let's go.
Who wants to go next?
I'll go next.
G, go ahead.
All right, what do you got, G?
We're gonna go straight into Aaron Gordon. So we're gonna stay in Denver.
Yes, love this.
And my goodness, this guy, I don't know what happened, but he took another step up. Because I thought even like when they won the championship before, he took a big step up, and now he took another big step up. So Aaron Gordon, I don't know what you're doing, bro, but keep doing it.
Proved his
This
worth.
man- yeah.
Proved his
Big
place.
He
He's-
could still jump out of the gym.
He's only making $22 million a year.
Only making 22 mil. I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
This year he's made $22 million. Let me actually look at his full contract.
That's actually ridiculous.
Myles Turner's gonna get more than
Can
him
we
in
pay him?
offseason.
You just extended him in the summer.
Yeah.
He's already signed.
Yeah.
All right, well,
He's on a 4-year, $86 million deal.
I'm gonna sign a petition to get all
No, they need
the
to stay.
Denver
They need to
fans
stay under
help
the
pay him.
apron. Stay under the
Yeah.
apron so they can get depth.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I still want to get him money.
Yeah, this
though.
year and the next year he makes more. He's making 31 next year, then 34, and then
All
you got a
Nuggets
player
fans,
option.
I'm telling you, all Nuggets fans, we have to donate to him, the Aaron Gordon Foundation, because he's just doing way more than what his contract entails. But
He's
Yeah.
Mr. Nugget.
Mr. Nugget,
Let's also not forget that Aaron Nesmith is making $11 million a year.
Exactly.
that's also insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another guy.
But yeah, anyways, he could still jump out of the gym. How old is he at this point?
I think he's 29.
29 years old, still jumping out of the gym. And guess what? He's shooting 44% from three
He is.
this season and the postseason.
Yeah.
Hitting multiple game-winning shots. We've already went over this multiple times. So, yeah, Aaron Gordon,
Yeah.
huge winner coming out of this postseason. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
He's Mr. Nugget.
Yeah.
He is he might be the player I have the most respect for in the association. Especially after everything he went through, losing his brother, and he's taken his nephews under his wing, kind of like spending more time with them. He moved the family out to Denver with him because I think they were living in Portland, and he's just the model human being. He's just a good dude with a great heart,
Character.
and yeah, he's high character, and that's something that franchises like the Nuggets look for, that kind of person. right? And Aaron Gordon fits that bill completely. And he's just so selfless. After they won the championship, the first thing he did, he went to Serbia and visited Nikola Jokic. So that's just the kind of person he is. And, you know, at the beginning of the season, he said he's going to do everything he could to get Russell Westbrook a ring. And we saw that man go out in Game 7 with a grade 2 hamstring strain, and he was damn near the second best player on the team.
It's crazy.
It was on the court for them. It was insane. And, you know, just in my opinion, he's the only true power forward left in the NBA. You could sort of make an argument for a guy like Pascal Siakam or Tobias Harris because they kind of play the 4, but not like Aaron Gordon.
Yeah.
Aaron Gordon is the stereotypical power forward.
Yeah.
And it's ethical hoops.
It is.
And
Man, I feel like Aaron Gordon, he's like your model NBA player that you want your son to look up to.
oh yeah.
Like, he's just a model, like that guy. Like, he's just a guy.
Yeah.
What a guy he is. Like, his heart for people, his heart for the game. And then also he's a talented player. So, like, if you want your son to look up to any NBA player, I feel like Aaron Gordon's one of those guys that, you know,
Oh yeah.
to look up to.
Him and Siakam are two guys I really hope people in the future don't forget about, because those are two players that are so selfless with their game, and they'll do whatever it takes specifically for the team, even though it doesn't directly benefit them.
Exactly.
Those are two guys that I really hope people talk about
Yeah.
years from now when we're long gone.
I hope,
and
bro.
Future generations and centuries and everything like that.
Yeah.
So maybe you're watching this video in the year 2240, like hi from the past.
Yeah.
There's no flying cars. I mean, there is actually, but like it's hard to get.
Yeah.
But Antoine, what are your thoughts on Gordon of Aaron?
Well, we spoke about him a lot. Just a very reliable player.
Yeah.
Showed a lot of promise this year. Hopefully, it's the same thing next year, and you know we see the same guy we saw. And that's it. You know, we talk about him a lot. I don't want to keep talking about the same players we've spoken about multiple episodes. So, just you know, we want to see the progression going into next year, and hopefully the team goes to the finals or even you know even better than this year. That's all we could hope from that team and from himself as well, being on the court.
Exactly. Yeah. So man's also dedicated to his craft. He's got a whole basketball court in his house. It's insane.
Of course.
So shout out Aaron Gordon. Do we have anything else you want to talk about with Aaron Gordon, or do you want to move on to the next one?
Move. Go.
All right, let me get into my first winner. This is going to be a trio, if you will. 3 guys that have just showed up, and really have proved a lot of people wrong, especially that man over there sitting across from me.
Oh.
And it is the Timberwolves front court. What is the front court, you might ask, for you basketball casuals? It is the forwards in the center. So guards are the back court, and everything else is the front court. So we're going to talk about Jaden McDaniels, Julius Randle, and Rudy Gobert. Who should I start with?
Start with Rudy, get it out of the way.
Yeah.
All right, we'll start with Rudy Gobert.
Get it over with.
I'm sorry, Gio, but this is what I've been talking about. This is the Rudy Gobert that I've been trying to explain to you. He is impactful in the playoffs. His defense is felt.
Not last night.
I mean, you're playing a 68-win team. Let's not get ahead of ourselves here. But Rudy Gobert is having one of his best. This is probably the best he's played since his time in Utah.
Yeah.
When he was the main defender. That's why he won those DPOYs. You know, because we've seen Donovan Mitchell is 6'2". He's also not that great of a defender. Royce O'Neal's not a good defender. Joe Ingles can barely move. That's why that Jazz team worked. He was a big part of it. Obviously, they couldn't get it done in the playoffs. It is what it is. You look at this Timberwolves team now, back-to-back conference finals with Rudy Gobert anchoring the defense is super impressive. And, you know, at the end of the day, I've loved what I've seen. You know, when you're playing undersized teams, he doesn't shy away. He realizes he's 7'2", 250 pounds, and he puts his ass in the paint and throws up dunks. He gets the rebounds. This is exactly what I've been wanting to see from Rudy Gobert. And I think now this is more of his confidence showing on the floor. Yes, he's had some bad games, but that happens to everyone. You know, he's not some MVP type player. That's not his game. His job is to protect the rim and anchor the defense to make the guys in front of him not look awful. Hence why Karl Anthony Towns looks awful this year defensively. Last year, he looked a hell of a lot better because Rudy Gobert was right behind him. So guys like Rudy are good help defenders. And I think that's what's needed. Obviously, this is sort of his match right now because you have 2 7-foot players on the other side rather than, Kevon Looney or Draymond. But they still, small ball proposes his own challenges. We saw how much Jokic struggled with Alex Caruso guarding him. So that's the gist with Rudy. With Jaden McDaniels, we've all kind of seen the potential with him. He just hasn't really had the chance to really showcase it. And these past 2 playoffs, he really has. So it's really not so much of him. It's just his offensive leap this year, as Anthony really wanted to see from him. He's finally doing. Not that he needs to do it.
Yeah.
But the man I really want to talk about is Julius Randle. I understand he's had 2 bad games this postseason.
Yeah.
This whole
Recent one.
playoffs in general, though, has been a humongous W for him. I didn't expect much. I think that's why a lot of people had the Lakers going forward, because we saw he shot the Knicks out of every series they lost, which I guess ties into why Thibodeau should be fired, because Chris Finch has found something with Julius Randle. He has that confidence. And, that could also just be playing in a smaller market. But, we're really seeing that scoring leap. I think he averaged like 28 in, the second round against the Warriors. And he's proven to not be a playoff dropper.
Yeah.
Which is really fun to see. So we'll go to you, Antoine.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on these 3 lovely gentlemen.
Well, yeah, 3 players that I like to enjoy watching because Randle played in New York. I know his game fairly well. I guess the success for him in Minnesota is basically based on because he's not the number 1 option anymore for Minnesota, hence why he's with Ant-Man there.
Yeah.
But regardless, even though JB was there, JB would have been the first option regardless. So I don't really take much into that anyway. McDaniels, definitely the big scoring outburst this past year has been phenomenal. Love to see that from him because we know how good he is defensively. If you can perfect both sides of the ball, you become a lot more expendable and can earn a lot more money as well on extensions.
Oh, yeah.
Rudy just does what he does. There's nothing else you could do. He's just a nightmare on defense. Scoring, don't really look much for him for anything to score. It's nice if he does score 20 points a game, but
Who, Rudy?
yeah,
Yeah.
we're not looking for that.
No.
But yeah, that's a core that's going to be there for a little bit. We'll see if Randle resigns, of course, or has a player option. I think
He'll
But,
probably opt after this series. He might opt out.
yeah,
Who's
Randle?
Rudy?
Randle, yeah,
Yeah, Rudy's still in. Rudy just signed an extension, so.
yeah.
Randle, by the way, he hasn't had a good past 2 games. Like,
But
Yeah,
it's
terrible.
It's been alternating. He had played good in game 1 and game 3. He played really bad.
We're
in
also
4.
just talking about the playoffs, not
yeah,
talking about
overall,
this
of
series.
course. But
honestly,
when it matters most, I need him to come.
right. But as far as like the grand scheme, the whole picture, those first 2 rounds, and even the
Right.
games 1 and 3 of this series,
Yeah.
compared to what we saw in
sure.
2023, is a humongous upgrade.
Compared to what we expected from him, 100%.
Yeah,
But that's also because he was matched up against Draymond Green and just completely cooked Draymond. And that small ball Warriors team just couldn't deal with him. But against this team, it's a harder matchup for him, so I understand why he's struggling.
That's one of 2 matchups that Draymond Green lost in his entire career in the playoffs.
Yeah? Mm-hmm. Well, Julius Randle has his number.
Yeah, only the second time it's happened. It's rare when Draymond gets his matchup, when his matchup beats him.
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's impressive.
But yeah, no, yeah, credit to those guys, except for Rudy Gobert. So
Oh my God, stop it.
Gio.
Yeah,
look, man, Rudy's he only has success where the team is a small ball lineup. Other than that, I don't see really his impact, even defensively. It's not much.
that's fine. Let him.
I feel like
Yeah,
listen.
let him hate. Let him hate.
I don't.
No, let me
Let him
hate.
talk crazy.
I'm talking crazy. Listen, Rudy Gobert, he's a good defender because, or he's only a good defender when teams don't know how to pick him apart. When teams know how to pick him apart and get him out of place and out of position, you will destroy him. Teams that know what they're doing,
That's
them
most.
apart.
That's most defenders, right? That's most of the time you got to get. If it's a big man, you got to get them out of the key. You got to bring them out to the perimeter,
Right.
And then you don't expect Rudy Gobert to stay in front of SGA. You don't expect Nikola Jokic to stay in front of Steph Curry. It's tough with those certain situations because they look for the mismatches.
Right.
That's something like when we had Spencer Dinwiddie on the Nets, he always switched onto a 5. He'd blow right by him, no matter how good of it. He did that to Embiid several times. I wish he did it a lot more, but I don't know. I feel like you scope out ways to hate Rudy Gobert.
Yeah, I do.
You definitely do. The hating is crazy.
Yeah, and this isn't a Rudy.
diabolical.
This isn't a Rudy debate. So I'm moving on to.
We're talking about winners.
My second one.
All right, go.
We're
No
talking
more
about
Rudy
winners,
debate.
but
This is a
I'm done.
positive.
you digress.
concede.
But
Yeah.
shout out to these 3, regardless of what happens,
Yeah.
win or lose. All 3 of them can honestly hang their heads high or hold their heads high, I guess is how the statement
Exactly.
goes. So let's get into our second round. Antoine, what do you got?
So we're gonna get into a team that's had an early exit, but it was a very well contested early exit, and that's the Pistons. But of course, they're winners, but the fans are the focus here. The fans finally have some joy and things to look forward to for the next years. Obviously, we're going to see this team grow and grow for the next probably 5 years, depending on how long the core stays together. Presumably for a long time. That's Cade, Asar, Ivy pending any trades, Duran pending any trades. Anybody else they sign in, bring in for a trade or drafting as well. But first year in the playoffs, got an unlikely matchup against the Knicks. Didn't go their way. The refs played a part in some of it, I guess, with one foul call that was not called. And that kind of ended their first series. But nonetheless, it was not a play-in. It was not a play-in year. It was a first year back in the playoffs. So that's good. I expected that because the East is fairly bad. So being the 6th seed is phenomenal for them. And we're seeing now the positive side of them, and the return of a team that is a prominent team in the NBA is really good for, the bad boy Pistons, we know back in the day. And they're taking off. And this is only the start. This is like a same thing with OKC a few years ago we were saying when they drafted all their guys.
Yeah.
It's only the start. So same thing for them. But they won't have anyone picks for the top 5 anymore, so maybe the picks are over. They got to start taking out some money and signing some players and trading some guys.
I think they're definitely I wouldn't say ahead of schedule with OKC, but like OKC tanked because they had picks. The Pistons are already in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So it's really just a matter of can they continue this? Like,
exactly.
Don't take a step backwards. But
sustained success.
But as for the fans, like, this must be like a euphoric experience. Not even a year ago, they lost 28 games in a row. That's awful. Like, I can't even fathom that. They won 14 games, and this year you walk out with like 44 or however many it was.
Yeah, and also let's being ahead of a Detroit fan right now. The Lions have been in misery for probably the last 2 decades.
Well, they're good now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Pistons, same thing. The Tigers are having their best year in baseball this year in like recent history, and the Red Wings are still kind of crap.
Not every team's going to be successful.
But all 4 of their teams were crap for a sustained amount of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a resurrection in Detroit.
It's a resurrection.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we're happy for them, and they enjoy it. The Motor City is a big city in the U.S. regardless. Big sports town.
Yeah. And
they love their teams. We see the Lions fans every time. I don't see a lot of good Tigers fans. I don't pay attention to Tigers, but Pistons, same thing.
And even we could be seeing the return of the Detroit Shock, the WNBA team that they took away.
Okay.
So Detroit's rising up now.
Okay.
I think the NBA is seeing what's happening in Indiana, having both Tyrese Haliburton and Caitlin Clark just cooking for their respective teams. You see what Cade Cunningham's doing. I would put Cade in the same category as Haliburton as far as like their ceiling goes. They're different types of players. Cade's more of a score first. He can facilitate at a high rate. I think he was like 3rd in the league in assists per game. But he's more of a bucket getter. That's what we know him by.
Yeah.
Get a young WNBA star if they bring the team back.
The next one is Dallas because they got Page and they're going to have Cooper Flag this year.
Right,
That's the next duo.
Yeah.
But they're a big market, Dallas, so it's not really the same. Detroit's a historic NBA city. It's just not a big market.
Right.
But Gio, I mean, how would you feel right now if you're a Pistons fan?
Dude, I'll be elated.
I'll
be elated. I mean, yeah, like basically I'm just going to echo what you guys said. I mean, Detroit, they've been bad for so long, and then all of a sudden, a complete resurrection, a complete turnaround, and now you're here. You got guys like Thompson, you got guys like Cade Cunningham, you got guys like, who else? Like even Jalen Duren, Tobias Harris, good pieces.
Yeah.
You got Malik Beasley, great three-point shooter all of a sudden.
He's a free agent. Got to come back.
Free agent.
He wants to come back.
Yeah.
So,
him
I mean,
and Hardaway.
You got something here, and I think who's the manager again? General manager?
J.B. Bickerstaff.
Trajan Langdon.
Trajan Langdon.
Yeah.
I think he needs to continue to cook up because he's been doing a good job so far.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, yeah. We're starting to see a trend of using your salary cap to trade rather than sign. They did obviously have to sign Tobias Harris because he needed to meet the salary floor. But aside from that, everything he did this offseason outside of trading, I would have rather them had Quentin Grimes than Tim Hardaway Jr. But Tim Hardaway was fine.
He played great.
Which is fine.
He played okay. He played good.
Yeah. I think he played great against the Knicks.
Yeah.
So, and that's the other thing too. Like, we could say what we want about the Knicks deserving it, not deserving it. give a lot of credit to the Pistons the way they played.
Oh yeah,
They took that thing almost to the brink with two starters missing.
right.
Yeah.
They
That's
played them
impressive.
tough.
Yeah.
They played them very tough.
They did.
So shout out to Detroit. Shout out to their fans. They're a great fan base, very wholesome fan base.
Mm-hmm.
They got a lot of old school culture with, going back all the way to the IT Dumarsh days, then moving into the bad boy Pistons in 04.
No, those were the bad boy.
Sorry.
Yeah.
What did they call the 04 team then?
They just called them Pistons.
The Pistons. I thought there was a name for them. I got to look this up now.
Maybe there was a name, but I know the Bad Boy Pistons were
Yeah.
definitely the 80s.
But then obviously that team with like Rip Hamilton and all those
Chauncey.
guys,
Yeah.
Chauncey and them. Yeah, that was a likable team, even though a lot of people hated them.
Underdogs.
Yeah, they were just a team of dogs, and that's what we really want to see out of teams like even this year. Like Indiana's got dogs. Guys like Aaron Nesmith would thrive in that kind of environment, and he's thriving on that environment now.
Yeah.
So, as for the Pistons, just
Yeah.
speaking from experience of being a fan of a super good team, savor every moment because it can end in a split second. It could all go away, and you're going to be sitting in your room at 3 a.m. crying because Kevin Durant got traded.
Dude, that sounds like it sounds like very familiar, yeah?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Trust me, it was bad enough when I saw Haliburton's freaking foot on the line. So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. All right,
Trio.
I'm ready.
What do you got for your second?
I got Tyrese Haliburton, of course.
Oh, can we skip? Can we skip?
Honestly, I'm not going to say too much on this.
Do you wanna-
We already...
do you want to talk about a different pacer?
We could do. I have Myles Turner. We could.
Well, no,
Just go
we'll do that.
easily.
We'll do that afterwards. But is there another pacer you want to talk about?
I mean,
talked
I'll just come. Yeah, we kind of talked about the Pacers in depth in the
Yeah.
previous segment. If you guys want to watch that, but I mean, I'll just say really quickly what I said before. Aaron Nesmith and Tyrese Haliburton. I'll kind of put them in the same category because
That's fine.
they really are the reason why the Pacers are up 3-1 in my opinion. Of course, you can throw Pascal Siakam in there too,
I think you have to.
but those two guys to me is the reason. Nesmith's defense number one, and of course, the game one where he went off in the fourth quarter. But his defense, number one.
Oh,
and then also Tyrese Haliburton for just having that that free flow energy on the offense. It really gets them going. So without those two guys on the team, Pacers would be nothing.
Yeah.
So that's all I got to say.
Yeah, we watched the last segment. We spoke about all the stats
In
but
depth, yeah.
These guys are clue winners, and
Yeah. Just Tyrese Haliburton just needs to stop talking in two different voices, and then I might be a fan. All right?
See the celebrations he's been hitting.
Yeah.
He's
just aura farming, bro.
He hit Brunson's 3-point celebration
No
yesterday in the
way.
third quarter.
He did this?
He went like that, yeah.
Dude, Tyrese,
Oh.
bro.
He's putting together one of the coldest playoff runs I think we've ever seen as far as just like moments. You hit the game winner against Milwaukee, you jump up on the table like you're Dwayne Wade. Then in the second round, you hit the game-winning three after that big comeback against Cleveland. You do the Sam Cassell celebration. He didn't get fined for it, surprisingly. And then obviously he does the Reggie Miller choke sign after the Knicks choked that game. And then
If he hit the game winner on that, that would have been probably
bro,
so
Yeah,
crazy.
if that was a game winner,
If it was a game winner, oh my gosh.
I can only imagine what
well,
he'd
listen-
do in
Still a
the
crazy
finals.
moment, though.
Listen,
Oh, yeah.
the job is still not finished. If they don't win the chip, out the window. That's how I view everything. If you don't win
Really?
it, it's out the window.
No, I think it depends on certain teams. Like if you get like when the Heat made the finals, that's a successful season in 2023
Yeah.
when they were an
Yeah.
8 seed. I think
Yeah.
if Indiana loses to OKC, I'm not going to blame them. Like OKC's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like if OKC,
It's still a successful season.
It's if OKC loses, yes, I think Indiana deserves it. But there's no reason, even before all the 1 seeds got eliminated, there's no reason why OKC should lose any series.
No way.
If Indy makes it to the finals and takes it to 6 or 7, I think it's worthy. But
Success.
if they're out 4 and 5, everything's out the window.
I think if OKC's like truly locked, even if they get 1 game, I will be very proud of Indiana. I'm proud of them enough for just making it there.
Yeah, because
So-
now next year they'll actually be higher on a lot of people's lists going into the preseason.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So, because this year we know a lot of guys did not have them making the playoffs, which is insane.
Yeah.
All right.
A lot of people had them like play in stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. Ty,
So-
what's your 6th?
All right, let me get into my next winner. We're going to stick kind of in that Pistons range. We're going to go with 2 gentlemen that share some DNA together, and it's the Thompson Twins, a men and a Sar. My goodness gracious, these 2 kids are insane. There's no other words to describe them. So obviously this is their second year this year, so The rookie year, they showed a lot of promise on the defensive end. They looked pretty great. They're some of the most athletic people the league has to offer. Then, unfortunately, Asar goes down at the end of last season with a blood clot. I forgot where it was, but obviously that kind of hampered his development a little bit, and that's why Amen kind of took the spotlight, became the better twin as far as that goes. And throughout the year, he was just really good. And this year, we just saw a leap from both of them, specifically Amen at the start of the season. So much so, people like myself were saying here on the show that Amen Thompson is not only the future franchise player for the Rockets, he should be the starting point guard, because we saw the playmaking leap that he made. Because obviously the Twins can't shoot. We all know this. They're just straight up bricks. So that's one thing I saw. And then we saw Asar come back in like November, December, and he started playing really well, and the Pistons kept cooking. So we get to the playoffs. The Rockets and the Pistons both make the playoffs after not making it last year. And both of them, regardless of what, they both lost their series, but both of them can go out with their heads held high, because my goodness gracious, their defense was tenacious. Mm-hmm. It was clamps. They had guys in absolute hell. It was insane. It was ridiculous. Jalen Brunson, in his interview after Game 6, said, got to give credit to him. He's a dog. He made me work. And he was exhausted. That one last play, Brunson got him really bad. That was the one play for you to not screw up on. Yeah. But it happens. It's basketball.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah. I mean, listen, we don't talk a lot about the G League guys being successful, but those two are literally the face of the G League Ignite. No, they were overtime elite. I'm sorry.
Yeah, overtime
elite. G League was Buzelis and a few other guys.
Yeah.
But I love these guys. When they were drafted, I was always hyped for them, and then them going 4 and 5 just made it even better. It was like when the Morris Twins went back to back as well in their draft from Kansas.
Yep.
But they were later on in the first round. But the Amen and Asar. Excuse me. I don't know. I mean, like during the draft, I don't know which one was better. I thought they were both kind of perfected in the same game. But now watching it, clearly you see Amen is the more scoring option. Asar is clearly the defensive option. Could obviously improve on the offensive end, no doubt about that. He's still very young. So, I hope these guys are locked into the teams that they're on, because they landed in pretty good spots for both of them.
Yeah.
It's good that Detroit took that leap finally, and Houston's on the come up, and Katie could be there this summer. We'll see. Depends what their way they're going into. Mm. At least they didn't find themselves on a bad team like a Charlotte or a Washington and just rotted their first rookie careers away.
I mean, Asar definitely wound up on a bad team. He did. They just had a miraculous overhaul.
They really did.
Because that team looked doomed. It looked bad.
Yeah, it's day and night compared to last year.
I love there's a content creator I follow that's a big fan of both of them, and he's also a big Pokemon fan. So he calls them Latios and Latias. If you guys know Pokemon, Latios and Latias are the legendary Pokemon in, I think, Gen 2 or 3. They fly. They're like they're brothers. They're like brother and sister or brother and brother. And Latios is blue for Asar playing on Detroit, and Latias is red for Houston. So to me, they're a Latios and Latias. That's how I see them. That's now how I view them. I also would say Sonic and Knuckles, but I think Jameer Gibbs and David Montgomery took that for Detroit Lions.
Okay.
So Sonic and Knuckles, I think so. I think Latios and Latias is what I will call from now on.
I don't know what that means at all.
I don't either.
Okay.
So if anyone in the comments does, there you go.
Look up Latios and Latias.
Okay.
We don't have that Pokemon knowledge.
I don't got ball knowledge like that.
No.
But really quickly, obviously they're winners because they played great in the postseason, both of them, both sides of the ball.
Their assignments, Steph Curry and Jalen Brunson.
That's probably the hardest it gets, or it's up there.
Oh, it's definitely the hardest point guards to guard.
It's up there. So, I mean, obviously they're winners, but their ceilings are through the roof, and I'm just looking forward to what they're going to do this offseason to improve on their weaknesses. That's all.
Yeah, it's going to take a while. I don't think they'll ever be good shooters. It's going to take a while if they do, kind of like what Lou Dort and Aaron Gordon did. It took them like 3, 4, 5 years to get there. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I just don't think they need to do that.
But if they do, it turns them into a superstar.
Seeing Josh Hart's lack of shooting, I think they probably have to do it because it's killing the Knicks right now.
They have to.
But they seem like it's like Josh Hart souped up.
Yeah.
But you have the body of Dyson Daniels.
Yeah.
It's insane. Yeah. I still think Dyson Daniels.
Souped up Josh Hart.
I actually do. Let me know y'all thoughts. I think Dyson Daniels is still a better defender than both of them.
Both of the brothers?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I mean, based on the season,
he went
and the
DPOY.
stats and all that stuff.
He's
yeah,
insane. I cannot wait to see him play playoff basketball.
yeah.
Oh
Well,
man,
he's got to be
That'll be
off.
exciting.
He's got to be off Atlanta first.
I think they can make the playoffs. The East is Garbo.
Oh, they could. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. Yeah,
Even if you
I don't have
scrape
any
the 7
confidence in
seed.
them.
yeah. It's
I'm gonna
possible.
need to see a big jump from Zachary.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think you will. His
Maybe.
second half of the season was great.
Okay,
and
So-
JJ's got to be healthy.
he needs to put on a few
Jalen
pounds.
Johnson.
He will.
Johnson, yeah.
So,
All right.
shout out
Yeah.
to the Thompson Twins. Ready?
Yeah.
I'm really excited for year 3. So, Antoine, let's get into your last round. What do you got?
We just talked about this. Myles Turner.
Oh yeah.
All I'm gonna say is that he earned himself an extra $100 million in the playoffs. That's all I'm gonna say.
Keep in mind, guys, not even 2 weeks ago, this kid said he should walk
Oh yeah,
in
walk.
free agency.
Go get money outside of Indiana.
Crazy.
Listen, who's to say no one can offer him more and he leaves? I'm just saying. Don't be shocked when we're live streaming day one and some other team gives him the money.
The Pacers are under the apron. They can give him
That is
however much
true.
they
That's a
want.
very good point. So I transcend.
Yeah,
I transcend my point.
No one understands that except for us
Exactly.
and a couple other people.
But yeah, he'll stay, and then he'll be I think in between. He'll be more than Nemhard, less than Hallie and Siakam.
yeah. Yeah,
That's kind of how it
Turner's
is.
he's a major piece to this team.
Nemhard's also on a stupidly cheap contract.
Exactly.
So,
18 mil a year. That's why I said yeah.
yeah, Myles Turner's going to get 30 for sure.
Yeah.
It's
And
hard
then-
to come by a good center. So
Yeah, and
You
then
don't, you don't necessarily need a good center, but it's nice to have one.
I think you do.
What do you mean by good, though?
A solid defender
So someone that can
and
hold their own.
rebounder.
Okay.
But he does more than that.
Right.
So
But yeah, I mean, we hope that Indiana doesn't fall into the same trap that Boston does right now with paying all their guys because we know Nesmith's on a cheap contract. McConnell's a bench guy. I'm sure Benedict Mathurin probably would leave, but he's an RFA. You might want to keep.
No, if anything, he gets traded.
Yeah, they might fall into that same trap that Boston
They're-
went into with all those
They're
guys
not-
locked up.
They don't need to.
We'll have to-
Siakam's locked in until 2028. Haliburton's locked in until 2029.
Wow.
Toppin's locked in until 2028. McConnell's
Well,
locked in until
yeah.
2029.
damn.
And Nemhard's locked in until 2028, as well as Johnny Furphy, who still hasn't. He's
Yeah,
still
we're
got a
waiting
lot
on
to develop.
waiting on Johnny Furphy.
I don't even know who that is.
Furphy is a 3-point shooter. He'll be when he plays. He'll be knocked down.
He'll be knocked down?
Knocked
Yeah, he's Australian, right?
Yeah, he played for
Yeah.
Kansas last
How tall is
year. He's a white guy. He's like 6'4".
I
What does
didn't
that have
ask-
to do
I
with
didn't ask his
anything?
race. I said
Tall
how tall-
white guy.
He's six.
How tall is he? Yeah,
six-
he's white.
He played at Kansas.
He's
and
6'8".
He played at Kansas and was one of the top 3-point shooters in
So
the
he's
class, but
he's like a Grady Dick type player.
Kind of, yeah.
he fell into the second round. So second round picks don't get a lot of playing time. But hopefully he doesn't get the Jarris Walker treatment. That's what I hope.
No, Andrew Nemhard was a second round pick, so
Yeah.
there's potential.
But yeah.
Okay.
Gio.
Yeah,
What's your last one, bud?
Let me jump into the last. Is this the last winner?
For you,
For
yeah.
you.
For me.
Because
yeah,
I still
for
have one
you.
more, and then
Right.
the big one.
All right, so my last winner is the Knicks fan base. So, of course, this goes to the only true Knicks fan here. Even though I'm not a Knicks fan, I'm still
Why?
considered.
What am I winning? I'm not winning.
You are
anything.
not winning because you're not a Knicks
What
fan.
am I- I'm not
You already
winning
made that
anything.
clear.
You
See what
I'm not winning anything.
You want to tell them what I texted you?
Yeah. Let me tell you.
I'm not winning.
We had
anything.
basically, guys, when we do stuff like this, we divide it up through like Chat GPT.
What did you say?
Yeah. So this is randomized. This is not me picking
Yeah.
what I.
Yeah,
pick. This
we
is
randomize
randomized.
everything.
So Tyler sent me the list of what I got. It said Knicks fan base. He said it deserved, in parentheses, it said it deserved to go to an actual Knicks fan with a dead face emoji. So, yeah, I mean, we all know this. Anthony's a fake Knicks fan.
Oh,
I don't think I won anything. I just won sadness.
Well, you're not a Knicks fan, so.
Yeah.
I am
But
a
if you're a
Knicks fan.
true Knicks fan out there, you know how happy you are that the Knicks have gotten this far and the expectations were exceeded. I believe, I don't think you guys expected to get this far in the playoffs. Especially seeing that, you know, you had the matchups that you had to face. I mean, you probably assumed you would go get past the Pistons. But
Yeah.
to get past the Celtics, that's something that you guys should definitely be happy about.
Oh yeah.
All Knicks fans
I
should
mean, did you see the city when everything was happening?
Yeah.
Like, it's honestly better that they don't win a championship. Like, the city might burn down. Like,
I
Did you
still
see
don't
the guys
it's like
just-
dangerous.
They were climbing up the poles.
Yeah,
and
they were
everything.
they were on billboards.
So, wait,
They were jumping off.
somebody,
It's insane.
somebody got on top of the jumbotron.
Yeah.
And it was just a straight pole all the way up to the
Yeah.
screen.
And he was just sitting
I
on it
don't know
like
how
this.
we
He was
got
sitting
up
on the
there.
edge like this, hands folded,
Yeah,
just
I-
chilling.
Listen, Gio, I don't know what I won, but okay.
Dude.
Look,
I didn't win anything.
Look, it got so bad. You lost Brunson at in the last week of March. It got so bad that Knicks fans weren't even sure they were going to beat the Pistons.
Right.
The fact that you got to the conference finals and you won a game in the conference finals, that's a successful season.
I will say we proved that health is wealth, and when they're healthy, they go far. Right. That is the big thing we proved.
Not necessarily, but I get what you mean.
Yeah. Also, I mean, you guys were talking about the whole season. Mikal Bridges is terrible. Obviously, he's not worth the six for. Obviously, we know that he's not worth the six.
It's always going to be a loss for the Knicks.
Yes, but he's played well in this playoffs, and you can't deny that.
I wouldn't say
you cannot deny that.
He hasn't played well. He's just been the least problematic.
Yes.
That's how I would.
Do you want me to bring up stats because he's been playing well?
But it's regardless of what he's producing.
The shooting
not what you got him
the
for.
shooting splits are off.
He's shooting 50% from the field.
Yeah, but it's not what you traded him for. It's not. It's
absolutely
not warrant.
not.
That's why I'm saying he's the least problematic.
I understand that, but still, he's still averaging about. I'm throwing out a guess here based on what I saw. 15 to 18 points for a third or fourth option is really good. That's all I'm going to say.
That.
But you didn't. Obviously, Leon Rose made a mistake in trading for him in the first place, but he's played decently well on defense and on offense. So that's all I'm going to say. Yeah. Be happy about that. You got what you got. Now just be happy about it. All right?
I'm not happy.
So, shout out, I guess, to the Knicks fans.
Shout out to them.
So I would love for the Nets to be on the other side of the superstar collapse. So let's get into my final winner. And we were debating between this and the final winner, which we'll get into in a second. We're going to talk about a man named Kevin Pritchard. Now, no, there's no relation to Peyton Pritchard. And a lot of you are probably wondering, who the hell is Kevin Pritchard? Kevin Pritchard is the president of basketball operations for the Indiana Pacers. And very, very quietly, he has built a monster of a team. Full of depth, full of guys that pretty much do it all. And it's just a well-oiled machine when it clicks. And, there's a lot of things that kind of went into this rebuild because you remember those old school rosters when they had like Malcolm Brogdon and company. They weren't very good. They left a lot to be desired on the table. And basically, I'll tell you exactly what Bro did over the past few years because it's truly impressive.
Tell us.
And it went completely under the radar. So obviously, the first thing you do is you wind up trading Domantas Sabonis for a man in Sacramento by the name of Tyrese Haliburton, which is, looking back on it now, is the most Kings thing of all time. Mm-hmm. Genuinely, you chose Fox instead of Haliburton, then you trade Fox for the 2019 Bulls. It's diabolical in the worst of fashions. So you do that. You decide to get involved in the Harden trade, and you trade Victor Oladipo to Houston because they didn't want Karis LeVert, and you took back Karis LeVert. He obviously had the medical issue. They sorted that out, and then they started playing really well for them. You trade him to Cleveland for a second-round pick. That second-round pick wound up being Andrew Nembhard at 31, first pick of the second round. So already the backcourt sorted. Mm-hmm. Then Malcolm Brogdon finally gets moved to the Celtics for a paperclip, better known as Aaron Nesmith.
Yep.
Proving everyone wrong now. Then you trade 2 second-round picks to the second-best team in New York for Obi Toppin.
Yep.
And he just hit a dagger 3 to potentially eliminate the Knicks, to potentially put the series out of reach. And he hit those 2 clutch dunks in Game 1. Mm-hmm. Then
the things I would do to have Obi Toppin back on the Knicks.
No, for real.
I mean,
I love that man.
He wasn't going to play him. That was the main reason why he got
Tibbs.
traded.
I don't know why Tibbs hated that guy so much. I really don't know.
I don't know.
Go ahead.
He doesn't play his young guys. Then the Pacers make a humongous mistake. You give Bruce Brown, after winning a championship with the Denver Nuggets, a 2-year, $45 million contract. Diabolical. Did not deserve that type of money.
They were riding with the flow.
He played really well, earned himself that contract. So you kind of screw that up. You lose in the in-season tournament final to the Lakers, and then you get an absolute blessing from Masai Ujiri that he's willing to take on Bruce Brown and 3 first-round picks for Pascal Siakam.
Yeah.
What a trade.
That was the
a freaking trade.
That was the missing piece I said all along.
Exactly.
This man cooked.
And
what's his name? Pritchard?
Kevin Pritchard.
Yeah,
the most underrated general manager in the NBA. He is fantastic. And you look at the cap sheet, man, like we just mentioned, a lot of these guys are locked in. Their payroll's at 100. That's below 170.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And all you have to do, Myles Turner's out of contract this year.
That's really it. Yeah.
You could potentially stay under the apron depending on how much he gets. And you could also get off the Mathurin contract if you don't want to retain him.
Yeah, exactly.
Mathurin.
It's incredible. I mean, if Mathurin continues to struggle, he'll probably get traded. But he played well last night.
Yeah.
Very well.
But it's truly something incredible what we're seeing with Kevin Pritchard. And if Indiana does wind up beating OKC in the finals, he will move into my first spot for the biggest winner.
Yeah, I think he would. I agree. He would overtake Presti.
Well, let's also not
Just gave it
forget.
away.
Let's also not forget in 2021 he hired Rick Carlisle as the head coach,
Yeah.
There you
a
go.
champion, Hall of Famer,
Great
kind of
coach.
forgotten about,
Yeah.
and he's
The
been
forgotten goats.
amazing.
Yeah,
I love
yeah.
he's like been trolling the Knicks to play certain guys. Like I didn't see Cameron Payne on the floor.
He said
I
that.
didn't see Precious
Who
Achiuwa
said
on the
that?
floor. Rick Carlisle.
Oh, Rick
Really? In the
Carlisle.
post game?
He was trying to bait Tom Thibodeau into playing these guys because he knows he has the matchups for
He
them.
knows how bad they are. He knows how. I know
love
how
it.
bad they are.
Shout out Richard Carlisle.
I know how bad
my
they are.
guy. So
But yeah, that's how you build a contender. Just there are different ways to get guys. Like Nesmith's one of them. McConnell's been around for a while. We know how good he's been.
yeah.
Nemhard is again diamond in the rough. The first pick of the second round I count as like the last first round pick. It's always like a toss up between the last first round pick and the first pick of the second round. But
Yeah.
regardless to hit, and then Turner again draft pick hit. Mathurin another draft pick was hit. We'll see what happens with him. Only fumble's been Jarris Walker for them, but it's okay.
Yeah.
Obi Toppin again was a steal from us. So.
How much of this, really quick,
Yeah.
I don't want to extend this too long,
It's gonna be a longer episode. I've
That's
just
fine,
accepted that.
but how much of Kevin Pritchard's success would you credit towards him actually like putting this together, and how much of it would you credit towards just being lucky?
To be honest with you,
Be
I would
honest.
give about 95% credit to him.
Really? So you think that he actually saw the vision the whole way through
Yeah.
and organized this team the way it is, and there's not an ounce of luck, maybe 5% luck
I
thrown
would
into
say
there?
I think the only luck has come with the contracts. Like Andrew Nemhard making like 16 a year or whatever he's making. Aaron Nesmith on a 3-year, $33 million deal. Like that's like, fortunate. But Sabonis was your franchise player.
Yeah.
They were not trading him unless they got back a young star. Tyrese Haliburton was the collateral, and the
Right.
Kings had no problem giving him up because Fox wanted to build a championship team there. And then, you buy low, or you sell low with Malcolm Brogdon. You bring back Aaron Nesmith, someone that's raw, but someone that's got huge upside. Andrew Nemhard getting that second round pick, that could also be luck, but then again, they probably saw something with him in scouting and everything like that. Pascal Siakam is an egoless star, someone that fits right in.
Yeah.
And Myles Turner's just been there.
Right, he's been there.
He's been there. He's been in trade rumors his whole life.
He's been there since PG, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Wow.
Since he came out of the womb, he was in trade rumors.
Pretty sure. Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, you want to know what's crazy is that I remember receipts on the Halley draft. The Halley draft was the COVID draft.
Stephen A. Smith wanted the Knicks to draft him so bad.
Hallie?
I literally was gonna get that the day after when first take came out. This was COVID as well, so I added on a good amount.
I wanted the Nets to trade into that draft
they
to get him.
They took Obi Toppin, and this time there was no Brunson.
Yeah.
They had no point guard, so I think Stephen A. wanted Killian Hayes.
No, he wanted Haliburton.
No, before he got taken by Detroit to pick before.
Oh, okay.
Winning
Before.
Killian Hayes in New York?
Killian Hayes as a prospect was really good.
That was And then they took Obi, and then he's like, I really wanted them to take Haliburton. He's like, on first take, and now he's.
Obi was arguably going to be a top 3 pick, but the tournament didn't happen. So,
And
the fact
now-
that he fell to you at 8, you had to take him.
Now that Hallie is on the team that he's playing against, his favorite team, he's not a superstar. But if he's on the Knicks, that's
Exactly.
a Stephen A. agenda. But I transcend.
But yeah, shout out
Stop
Tyrese
transcending,
Haliburton.
bro.
That's one of my best takes up until this Pacers one, hopefully.
Is
That I thought Tyrese Haliburton was going to be the best player from that draft class.
ooh.
He might not be because I still think that goes to Ant, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Haliburton wins the championship, he's 1,000% the best in that class.
Yeah, this draft class wasn't that good.
Nah, even if he wins this year, it's still Ant. Sorry.
We'll see. At the end of the day, who makes the finals, who doesn't, who wins. Who doesn't.
You can't
No.
do that, bro.
Look,
They're
okay.
playing against OKC. That's tough.
Yeah, OKC's an all-time team, so if he beats them, he's 100% better than Ant
Okay.
in that draft
I mean,
class.
their team is just better constructed. But
Exactly.
All right,
So-
let's get into our unanimous.
The big winner, the big dog. So obviously, this shouldn't be really a surprise considering, the other team that's really cooking right now in the Western Conference is the OKC Thunder. We're going to talk about the man that's been there for almost 2 decades now, Sam Presti.
Wow.
A man that is so good at his job but could also easily get fired if this collapses on him. The team he has built has been nothing short of an empire.
He'll never get fired. I'm just gonna say that.
I don't know if they continue to always fall short. He will eventually get fired because if you have
If
opportunity,
they fall short, it's not his fault. It's the player's fault or it's the coach's fault. It's never his fault.
but you also got to think though. If you have a golden opportunity to trade for someone without even giving up that much, and you don't do it, like you're gonna hoard all these picks. It's not really. You're not being ambitious. At some point, you got to win. He's been there. If he's 3 years from now, if the Thunder don't win a championship, he'll be there 20 years without one.
You want to know what's funny?
He's just that good.
I pulled up an article of Sam Presti's top moves, and number 1 is obviously flipping PG for Shea.
Yeah.
Number 2 is drafting Kevin Durant. Guess what number 3 is, Gia?
Russell Westbrook.
Drafting Russell Westbrook.
Hello.
That's number 3. But anyway, as I'm saying, the draft class is a big part of what Sam Presti does. We know this.
Yeah, he drafts so well.
We know Chet. We know J-Dub. We know
James Harden.
James Harden.
Yeah.
We know, the guys right now.
Ibaka,
Hartenstein was a
Westbrook.
signing.
Yeah.
Was Wiggins and Isaiah Joe drafted?
I think so.
Kason Wallace, Nikola Tobic, who we're still waiting on next year. Hopefully, we'll see.
Yeah.
Where did he go in the
What
draft again?
He was a lottery pick. He was 11 or 12.
He's number 11, and we still haven't got to see him play.
Well, he's injured.
He tore
He
his
had a,
ACL.
he had a
Oh, he
partially
tore
torn
his
ACL.
tore his
Yeah.
ACL.
Okay.
Otherwise, he would have been top 5.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have been a
Yeah,
debate.
we're waiting, so we'll see what happens. Hopefully,
Yeah.
he's good. We'll see. And
We'll see.
Dagnall is a good. He hired him. So
Yeah.
Yeah, he does a hell of a job, Preston.
and I don't know what their draft picks are for the rest of the
They
decade.
have like the 3rd most picks in the next like 10 years. I think it's us, Brooklyn, San Antonio, and OKC have the most draft picks. Like you got Alex Caruso without giving up a draft pick, which is still crazy to me.
Caruso's another one.
But
Flipping Giddy for him is big.
yeah,
Yep.
it's not like Giddy's an awful player. It's just he did not. There was nothing on that team where he could provide anything positive. So you bring him to you bring him to a situation where he can be a positive impact.
Right.
And you bring in 2 guys this offseason for practically nothing.
Yeah.
That fits the exact 2 problems you guys had against Dallas. They did not have a good point of attack defender, and against Dallas, they could not rebound. Now they can. Isaiah Hartenstein is a great rebounder, and Alex Caruso is one of the most underrated defenders the NBA has to offer.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna just briefly go over. So this year OKC has 2 first-round picks.
Yeah.
Next year they have just 1.
It would have been 3 if Philly fell in the lottery.
Correct. Yes. Miami. They didn't get the Miami pick, did they? No. 2027 they have 1, a Denver top 5 that won't be protected.
Yeah.
LA pick swap. 2028 they have
Bryce
1
Jones.
Dallas first-round pick swap. 2029 they have a lot of seconds, 1 first, another Denver top 5 that would be nothing. 2030 another first, and then it's basically like 1 or 2 first rounds, but a lot of second-round picks though.
Yeah, and they could always flip those for like certain ancillary pieces, or
Yeah.
Sam Presti. If you want to chuck us, like a poverty teams first, we'll give you Cam Johnson. Like give us like 2 or 3 of them, because honestly, they could really use him. I'm not even gonna lie.
They could.
Because their offense outside of SGA, that's my biggest concern for them in the finals. We'll talk about next
Offense?
week. Their offense outside of SGA can be a little bit yikesy at times. I'll get into depth about that later on.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
man, Sam Presti, there's really not much to say about him because we've known the job he's done.
Yeah.
But people are starting to question him because, you have these super teams and you can't win a championship. Can this finally be the time he gets one? Because I'm not going to lie to y'all, if he either blows a 3-1 lead, which he won't, or he loses in the finals to Indiana or the Knicks if they come back, and this continues, you got to move on. You need a guy that's going to be more ambitious. And this was the most ambitious we've seen from him. But let's see what he does.
Yeah.
And if they fail, let's see if he makes a big trade.
Yeah, and also Lou Dort is the 3rd highest paid player right now on this team, and he was an undrafted free agent signing from Sam Presti.
Yeah. Diamond
in the rough.
Him and J-Dub would be one of 2 players getting moved for a star. Or both, depending on how much money they make.
Right.
But OKC's going to make the star trade at some point.
Yeah.
Not sure when that would be, but I think OKC's trying to be like Boston, where their Tatum and Brown is like SGA and J-Dub. I just don't know if J-Dub can reach those levels.
Yeah.
And that's what we'll just have to see.
I mean, we're seeing his vision now, but I don't think it's finished. They need a few more players.
For what?
Taking forever, bro. It's going to be 20 years.
They need another player
To win a championship?
This team's good enough to win a
No.
championship.
No,
this
they're gonna
team can
win.
now.
But there's pieces that can get moved for a lot of other
I mean, I
players.
guess that's understandable, yeah.
Like
They definitely win now.
No,
I
they
think
could-
They
exactly,
can win in
yeah.
5.
they're already win now.
Yeah.
I think if they played the Knicks, it would most likely be a sweep because they would have to go to 7 and they'd be exhausted. With Indy, I'm not sure if it would be. I think it would be a deeper
5.
series. I don't know. It depends.
5 or 6.
I need to see game 1 because that's like a feel out game. You'll see what the series would be like.
Right, matchups
Also,
and stuff.
Indy's yet to lose a game outside of game 3, so we'll have to
I
see.
still think it would be 5 or 6 games. I think OKC is definitely the better team. But
Oh, without a doubt, best team in the league all season.
yeah.
So.
yeah.
But yeah, shout out Sam Presti, shout out the Thunder. We went on for a little bit longer, but to be fair, we haven't had a long pod in a while. Might as well have one now. It's probably gonna be like 2 hours, 15 minutes, which is okay. We usually try to keep these anywhere from an hour 40 to 2. But let us know down in the comments any big winners y'all got. In 2 weeks, we're gonna do our losers because obviously next week's gonna be our final special. We'll kind of take a deep dive into both teams all season, and we'll kind of go into that. But do you guys have any final thoughts regarding this winners?
No, yeah.
And that brings us to the end of episode number 59 of the Floor Spacer podcast. Gio, you know what time it is. People that are still with the flow, what do they comment?
In honor of my bandana shorts,
Yep.
we're going to comment bandana.
Bandana. Was that BANDANA?
BAND. Yeah, you got it right.
Yeah. Comment down bandana. I don't know what
What are
he's
you
doing over
doing?
there. He's throwing an Uncrustable at you.
Thanks.
But yeah, obviously,
Can you get me one of these?
That was the last one. I'm sorry.
Damn.
by the time this episode comes out, there's a chance both series will be over.
Yeah.
Both series will be over by the time we record these episodes next week.
Yeah.
So we're going to give you a full finals breakdown. And just like we did last year, we'll give our full picks, everything like that. We'll come up with some fun idea for it.
Yeah.
And we'll see if there's any other news, any other firings, hirings, rumors, stuff like that. And that will kind of be that. So if you guys did enjoy today's video, be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, get us to 6K by the time the finals concludes. Spotify audio platforms or wherever you get your podcast. Give us 5 stars, answer the polls, leave a review. I already said give us 5 stars. Follow our socials at Floor Spacer Pod on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all down below. Personal ones are right here. Get Gio to 1 million Instagram followers. Join the Discord server. It is in the pinned comment below. And guys, do we have anything else to say before we head on out for the week?
We're good,
No,
bro.
we'll see you. We'll see you on the flippity flop.
All right, we hope you all enjoyed. Thank you all for watching. We love you all endlessly. We don't like Nico Harrison. I don't want to get demonetized. And we'll
There
see
it
you all
is.
next week in episode 60. Peace out.
That was funny.